to the blast. While the student in buildings are believed to be accounted for, Joburg Emergency Service spokesperson Robert Molaudzi says its protocols to clear the rubble before leaving the scene.
Because we are not sure whether there are any other people who might be trapped, because our knowledge tells us that we cannot just leave the place with a rubble like that. So we need to make sure that we try and move that rubble, get that rubble moved, so that we can be definitely sure that there is no other people who might still be trapped under that rubble. That is where we are now.
He says teams are on site to also conduct safety checks to avoid any further structural damage.
That extent of damages at this stage, we are told that it's a wall, of which we are not sure about whether they had some gas installation in the building. Our fire safety investigators will conduct that investigation. We'll be able to know whether there is indeed some gas supply in the building.
More than 8,000 cell phones were confiscated at correctional services across the country during the festive season. The Correctional Service Department held a media briefing in Pretoria today where it outlined its festive season operations. During more than 5,000 search operations conducted at prisons nationwide, officials recovered various forms of contraband ranging from electronic devices and marijuana to cash. Alfara Mushwana reports.
Correctional Services Commissioner Samuel Tobachale says more than 100,000 rand was confiscated from inmates at prisons nationwide during the festive season.
Gauteng is the highest with 37,193 rands, and Eastern Cape follows with 28,379 rands. Small quantities of foreign currency were seized along with 400 counterfeit South African notes in the Free State and Northern Cape region.
He says inmates were also found with dangerous weapons.
A sum of 3,144 sharpened objects were removed from facilities. The Eastern Cape and the Free State, Northern Cape regions recorded the highest volumes of seized sharpened objects, indicating elevated security risks in this region.
Of the 8,000 cell phones that were seized in prison raids, Gauteng emerged as the primary hotspot for smuggled devices. Alpha Ramshwana, Eyewitness News, Pretoria.
To the courts now, the state's cell phone analyst in the Paralapara trial has been grilled over his method to associate numbers provided to him with the accused persons. Emanuela David and siblings Froliana and Ndilishano Joseph are charged with breaking into President Ramaphosa's farm in February 2020 and stealing $580,000 in cash. The trial is being heard at the Mudimule Regional Court in Limpopo. Tabiso Koba has more.
During cross-examination, the analyst told the court that the cell phone numbers were provided to him by the investigating officer along with the names of the people associated with them. This prompted the defense to ask the analyst whether he does any independent investigations like consult RICA records to verify whether the information he's given is correct.
So I did have a look at the RICA as part of my analysis. However, I stick to the IO is the one through his investigation that identifies individuals with the names associated with the cell phone numbers.
The analyst confirmed that one of the numbers associated with accused number 2, Froliana Joseph, showed it belonged to someone else according to RICA records. Tabiso Koba, Eyewitness News, Limpopo.
Opposition parties in Cape Town Council have raised concerns about the city's plans to build a security wall along the N2 highway. Cape Town Mayor Jordan Hill-Lewis last week announced 114 million rand will be spent on the N2 Edge Safety Project. A wall will be built along a 9-kilometer stretch of the highway, which the city administration believes will protect commuters. Carlo Peterson has more.
Leader of the opposition in the Cape Town Council, ANC caucus leader Nditini Chido, says the city's plans to build a security wall along the N2 is senseless. Chido says the wall is an attempt by the city to hide poorer communities from tourists visiting Cape Town.
Hence pushing the poorer communities away or hiding their poverty away from the tourists who will be visiting Cape Town from the Cape Town International Airport.
Cape Town Mayor Jordan Hill-Lewis says it's not fair that a small number of criminals are impacting the safety of thousands of commuters.
This project will not only repair safety barriers and install new ones, it will also bring new pedestrian crossings, improved lighting, safety barriers for recreational spaces.
The Good Party says the money allocated for the wall could be better spent on social development in poorer communities. Carlo Peterson, Eyewitness News.
And moving further afield, 5 people have been arrested for extorting goods worth at least $35 million to Russia. Suspects allegedly used a company based in the Baltic Sea port city of Lubeck to arrange about 16,000 shipments to Russia. Federal prosecutors say this is a violation of European Union sanctions. The suspects will face an investigating judge of the Federal Court of Justice tomorrow. Gold is trading at $4,783, 1 cent an ounce. The rand is at 15.99 to the dollar, 21.90 to the pound, 18.96 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $69.32 a barrel.
Bumper-to-bumper traffic in Edenville on the R24 westbound between Edenville Road and the Gilulis interchange, while in Bedford View, traffic remains sluggish. This is on the N3 southbound between the Patrol interchange and Van Buren.
In your sport, Gayton McKenzie clarifies claim that South Africa will host WAFCON 2026. Stellenbosch fall to Sierra Bolo's dad as Kaizer Chiefs make it back-to-back wins in the CAF Confed Cup. And a hatred for losing drives Carlos Alcaraz to tennis history.
It's around 28 degrees in Johannesburg. The top story in Eyewitness News. Emergency teams are coming through the site of a wall collapse in Duranfontine near the Joburg CBD to determine if any person is trapped under the rubble.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
Calling all the brightest minds in Gauteng. Time to flex your general knowledge smarts in the brain of 702. Enter now on primemediaplus.com. T's and C's apply.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app, DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
.702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman is proudly brought to you by Telkom Business. Possibility begins here. Good afternoon, everyone. It's 3 on Monday, the 2nd of February. A brand new week, a brand new month. This is 702 Drive with me, John Perlman. Wherever you are listening to us in 702 land, welcome to the show. There's been, as you heard, an explosion in Duranfontine. Still no complete clarity as to what's going on. There's also a building that has collapsed. Nokukanya Ntambo is our EWN colleague who's out there keeping an eye on things and joining us soon to share with us what she knows. In other stories, the SANDF will be spending 372 million rand marking Armed Forces Day. There will be some kind of parade and other activities, all to be held in Thohoyandou in Limpopo. Remember the stories we heard about soldiers who are having to provide their own equipment to go and serve the country in the eastern part of the DRC. Given that and many other money shortage related problems in our defense force, is this really justified? More on that after 4 with South African National Defense Union representative Pikkie Greef. The Tshwane administration is taking steps, it would seem, to finally get the businessman Edwin Sodi barred by Treasury. This after he failed to deliver on crucial contracts, including those related to water and sanitation in the Hammanskraal area. But if that were to happen, does it actually make any difference? What is it, or is there anything at all that prevents somebody who's been barred in this way from simply creating a couple of other companies at arm's length and continuing to trade in that way? Goodness knows it happens often enough in government dealings. More on that after 5 with analyst Kaya Sitole. And while farmers love the rain and complain bitterly when there isn't enough, fair enough, they are after all in the business of growing things, are we at a point though where it's been too much of a good thing? We'll chat about that with agricultural economist Wandile Sihlobo. And the key thing, as far as I understand it, we're at a crucial stage in the maize growing cycle. And of course, if the maize crop in any way is less good than it should be or fails in some substantial way, it affects all of us, whether we buy maize from maize farmers or not, or grow maize and sell it or not, it is a key component in the diet of many, many South Africans. Food insecurity already at an all-time high, or certainly the highest it's been in many, many, many years. And so we're looking forward to talking to Wandile Sihlobo and just finding out what we need to brace ourselves for. Hopefully not too much. Speaking of money in the markets, the JSE is down by 720 points, just over 0.5%. But around 10 a.m. this morning, things looked seriously worse, with the all-share down by around 5%. Once again, it's been the global gold and platinum sell-off causing the fall, and you can see it in some of the day's big losers. Sibanye down by 7.3%, Northam and Valterra by 6.7%, and Harmony by 6%. Some stocks are having a better day. Alphaman is up by 5.3%, Karoo by 3.8%, and Pepkor by 3.7%. The rand is up some momentum again, trading at 15.99 against the dollar. A euro will cost you 18 rand 96, and 21 rand 90 will get you a pound. Much better news on the oil price. Brent crude is weaker today by $3.49, currently $66.26 a barrel, after pushing very close to $70 a barrel at the end of last week. By the way, when the new fuel prices kick in, I think it's on Wednesday this week, this will be the lowest petrol price in 4 years. I don't know how one has a petrol price party, but maybe one doesn't. You just thank your lucky stars and hope it lasts. Stephen Groot is joining us with all the market news at 4:25. We'll get sport with Tola Kele Mganga. Pulling Make has the latest news headlines. Karabo Chale is keeping an eye on the roads. This is 702 Drive. We're live in the place where you live, and if it's happening in 702 land, you will get to hear about it here as soon as we can possibly bring you the details. We do like to be first, but you can always help us if there's something you've seen, something you know about, something we might have missed. Please get in touch on 072 702 1702 or 011 883 0702. 702 Drive, it's 3:13.
702.
Let's walk the talk.
Forgot to mention, by the way, that at 10 to 5, the search for the brightest, sharpest, most pressure-proof brain in 702 land gets underway. In truth, it got underway earlier today with Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa. The brain of 702 will be playing it later in the show. I'm looking forward to it. As always, we've got lots to talk about, lots of questions to ask, plenty to think about, including some of the kind of random thoughts that either come out of things that are footnotes to the news or not really hardcore news at all. And then some of these things just pop into some of my colleagues' heads. So today's question, Rifue Letsua, good afternoon to you, producing the show with Jonathan Fairburn, as the pair always do every week. I am indebted to them for all the material I have to talk about on the show. But you asked this question, and I must say I'm not too sure where it's coming from. Have you ever, or are you still doing something to make yourself look older? This is not a thing I've been particularly taxed with or tasked with over a while. I mean, I could say, what do I do to make myself look older? I get up and get dressed and go into the wider world. But seriously, where does this question come from?
Good afternoon, John, and to the rest of the 702 family. So this comes from a time where I had a lunch date with someone that I was interested in.
Yes.
And they look a particular way, because I asked them the age, how old are you? They were young. I'm like, you don't look your age. He's like, I deliberately do certain things, cut my hair a certain way, speak a certain way, dress a certain way. So that's where the conversation came. He says people take him more seriously when he's dressed like that, as opposed to when he's just dressed, in a normal way. Because I've seen the differences. I'm like, 10 years younger when you dress your own way, and then when you dress the way that you want us to perceive you, 10 years much older.
So is looking older not quite a synonym, but is it linked to wanting to look to be taken more seriously, and that age is perceived as maybe you've got more experience, you've got a bit more gravitas. Is that the direction that's going.
It's definitely that, because he was going for that uncle that would negotiate lobola look.
Yes,
He wasn't a big man, but he deliberately picked up a little bit of weight just to, I want them to look at me and call me Goedman, as in, respectable uncle. Yes, so he wanted to be taken seriously because of also the kind of work he does, John.
Right.
Yes, he wanted to be trusted and like, we can trust that guy.
Can you do things with Karabuchali? I don't know if you've walked this road. Can you do things with glasses, for example? And
okay, I've never tried the glasses one, but
yes.
You
you can get clear ones, by the way. You don't. You're not going to then walk into walls or.
But apparently it works for some people. I've done the formal wear thing when I started here, because I worked for like community radio station where it was all chilled. There was a DJ there, so I'll just rock up with t-shirts and t-shirts and caps and tackies. And then when Katie Kripora said, can you come and join us at our newsroom?
Yes.
And you listen to 702, it's very serious. I've never been to the building. So for the first couple of weeks, I used to wear shirts and formal pants. And I realized it's not that uptight, so just loosen up. So I just wanted to be taken seriously, not just, that little boy who's joined us, So interesting. I laugh at it now, coming to think of it. Yeah.
So I've one time when I tried to look older was when I was with a group of friends in Swaziland. We wanted to get into the casino. I was 16, but the age limit was 21. So this was a stretch. But we all wore platform shoes, particularly for me, because I needed to look a lot taller. I think I lasted a minute before, just feel this hand on your shoulder.
Oh, no.
Come, Sonny, out. No, I'm 21. Show me some idea. Oh, I forgot it. Where he says, yeah, right. Off you go. Platform shoes didn't really help in that regard. When have you tried to make yourself look older? Why have you tried to make yourself look older? Are you still doing it? And for anyone else who might be trying to make themselves look older, and it's not just an age thing. It might be a gravitas thing. It might be a more sober look that maybe, we're folding all of these things into the idea of looking older. But either way, give us a call on 011 883 0702 and 072 702 1702. It's 18 minutes past 3. Let's see how the traffic's moving in the first traffic jam of the week.
Well, at this stage, John, in Mooikloof, Pretoria, there's an accident scene on Duranfontine Road. This is causing huge delays between Blesbok and Solomon Mahlangu, so allow for extra traveling time at this stage. Also, Centurion, we still have slow-moving traffic on the N14 southbound between Eupheus and Snake Road. In Bedfordview, traffic sluggish N3 south between the Gilulis interchange and Van Buren, and traveling through Edenvale heading towards Bedfordview, bumper-to-bumper traffic R24 westbound between Edenvale Road and the Gilulis interchange. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
Your office is more than just a place to work. It's a reflection of your success. At Desk and Chair, we help you elevate your workspace with locally manufactured desks and a wide range of chairs to suit your style and budget. Our expert consultants are with you every step of the way, from planning to delivery and assembly. Visit our showroom in Midrand or shop online at deskandchair.co.za. Desk and Chair. Think, feel, work better.
Need a seat? Try 7 or 5. It's your call. Want a sunroof? Make it a panoramic. Gotta have power? How does award-winning 138 kilowatt sound? The Changan CS75 Pro is big enough for the kids, smart enough for your playlist, and stylish enough for your Friday night too. Why settle when you can have it all without compromise? The Changan CS75 Pro. Drive tomorrow's SUV today. Visit changanmotors.co.za for more.
Changan, driven to evolve.
The stage, the lights, the crowd, everything's perfect until suddenly someone slips on the dance floor. A speaker lands in the buffet. In an instant, your masterpiece is a mess. That's why Auto & General is there with Events Liability Insurance. We handle the unexpected so you don't have to. Plan the party, wow the guests, leave the rest to us. For more information on Events Liability Insurance, visit autogen.co.za. Auto & General, never not there. Auto & General is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's and C's online.
Know a little about a lot? From headlines to horsepower. parenting to pop culture. If you stay switched on with News 24, it's time to cash in. Play the Raise Your Game quiz every day this week from 1 p.m. on 7:02 afternoons with Rilebogile Mabotja. Answer 3 questions, stack your winnings, and walk away with up to 5,000 Rand cash. Thanks to News 24. Enter now on primemediaplus.com. The Raise Your Game quiz with News 24. Only on 7:02. TCs and more on primemediaplus.com.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive. Let's get ourselves into the Joburg CBD. Duranfontine, to be specific, a transformer explosion, collapse of a building or a building wall. I'm still not entirely clear on what's happened, but let's talk to somebody who is. Nokukanya Mtambo, our EWN reporter, is on the scene. Nokukanya, very good afternoon to you. The sequence of events, was it the explosion first and then a collapse? Take us through what happened. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon to you, John, and to the 702 landers as well. So we're just at the corner of Lower Railway Road as well as State Street here in New Duranfontine. And what we have been told so far is that a fire broke out in a small utility storage room in this particular student accommodation building just after 6 a.m. today. Thereafter, then the explosion happened, causing the collapse of just the front part of the building. Just standing from where I am standing, John, it doesn't appear to be a major damage to this particular building, but the people who were around and outside of that vicinity at the time of this fire, then the explosion, were caught, of course, by the impact of that blast. So 4 injuries, including that of one of the students who are in the building. The entire road, in fact, John, is a few other student buildings as well. That's what we have been told so far. That those that were injured in the early hours of the morning were then, of course, taken to a hospital with some burn injuries. They are being treated there and in recovery as far as we understand. That's what we know so far. We are still on the scene waiting for EMS to conduct another thorough search just under the rubble that we are seeing here to make sure that there is no one under the rubble. The people that were in the building and just within the vicinity again have been accounted for, but Robert Mlaude explaining to us earlier, that's the Joburg Emergency Services spokesperson explaining to us earlier, that it's just protocol to make sure when there is rubble that there's no one under the rubble, even in instances where everybody has been accounted for. So we're waiting for a BLT to then just shift the rubble off. Just as I was waiting for you to latch me on, John, the DA mayoral candidate, Helen Ziller, arrived here at the scene just for a scope. Bear in mind, John, of course, we are in, slowly picking up in terms of election season, and she, of course, is vying for the Joburg mayoral position, and so she said she was in the vicinity and thought she would use this opportunity just to do a brief inspection of that particular building and then the student accommodation adjacent to this affected building. She's just gone into one unaffected student building just to speak to the residents there as well and get a sense of what exactly is happening.
Nokukanya Mtambo, thank you. An update from that area in Duranfontine. Perhaps you work there, perhaps you live there, maybe you're in student accommodation in that neighborhood. Anything you've seen that you want to add that we ought to know about, please do get in touch on 011 883 0702 and 072 702 1702. I mentioned earlier we're going to be talking about farmers and rain and the possibility of some kind of negative impact on the maize crop and through that on the maize price. I'm not saying that is going to happen, but that's why we're watching, and why we tend to take an interest in farmers' stories. Related to issues of food security, an organization called the Fair Play Movement are campaigning for chicken to be zero rated for purposes of VAT. Why chicken? We'll find out when we talk to Francois Baird. That's going to be at 20 minutes past 4, 25 minutes past 3.
Drive home with John Perlman
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
Well, I was listening to part of the proceedings of the Madlanga Commission today, and I must tell you, this has produced some absolutely hair-raising testimony over many weeks. But I can't think of anything I've heard quite as chilling as the evidence given today by SAP senior forensic analyst Captain Lawrence Magotle. He was involved in doing a ballistic report in which he linked together a shooting in Bramley and another murder in Vereeniging. The point of the story, the point that I'm making about his testimony, was his account of how he was kidnapped, in his words, by other members of the SAPS. Let's bring in Babalo Ndenze to take up the story. Babalo, a very good afternoon to you. I'm not sure if Captain Lawrence Magotle has concluded for the day, but certainly in the time that he was on the witness stand, some quite extraordinary testimony. Explain for listeners, though, what that kidnap story was all about.
Yes, indeed, John. I'm Lawrence Magotle, the ballistics expert at the police's head office in Pretoria. He's also a forensic analyst giving evidence today. He's already wrapped up his evidence. It was a few hours ended just before lunch. It was actually quite a brief session. But he did, give the committee some details around these two cases that he was, part of, that he was looking at the ballistics. And he says that, there were links between the Vereeniging killing of, an engineer, Armand Swart, as well as, an arrest of people a bit short time later in Bramley, where certain, things were found on them, including, the suspected firearm as well as cartridges belonging to a AK-47. And he says that his report then was, in a bit of demand from, this crime intelligence official or witness B. She's already testified before the Matlanga Commission, and she did implicate him on, doing stuff with the report, with the ballistic report, and he had demanded this ballistics report. And then they had taken him, or kidnapped, inverted commas, and it was in the middle of the night, John, and they went to the offices of the forensic lab. Where they went to the forensic lab, he says there were about 6 guards, very heavily armed police. He found this quite strange, and intimidating. And he also just feared for his safety, as well as his family's safety. And then they took him to the office where they demanded this report. And they were asking him questions. It says they interrogated him. This is witness B, plus these heavily armed police officers that were accompanying witness B. And he says that he eventually gave them a copy of this, but he was also receiving a lot of calls from his colleagues trying to find out what on earth are you doing at the office at this odd hour in the forensic lab, and he says there was a lot of, commotion around that. And he says, this was really the kidnapping that was referred to during the testimony earlier today. But he says he was eventually, released, and he gave them a copy of the ballistics report. He says after a lengthy interrogation, and, this ballistic report, he suspects that, because there was a police officer implicated in that Vereeniging murder, as one of the people that were arrested, he says maybe the interest in this ballistics report might have to do with that. And we also know that it was a case of mistaken identity, the murder of, Armand Swart, because, they were actually targeting another whistleblower, I think within the company. So that's basically what he told them about his kidnapping. And he's also just telling them about, what he didn't do. He says that he did not make any claims that, this Vereeniging murder is linked to other high-profile cases. He says the only link that he had established is just the Bramley arrests with these gentlemen that were arrested in Bramley, as well as the Vereeniging murder. As far as any other high-profile cases that have been linked to these ballistics or these weapons and bullets that were found, on these crime scenes, he says that he never made any links beyond that. And that's basically how he ended most of his testimony earlier today, John.
Thank you so much, Babalo Ndenze. I mean, there are so many unanswered questions in all of that, but just the account of somebody who is performing a crucial role in the South African police services being picked up by other members of the South African police service, armed with rifles. They put him in a car. They take him to an office, the place where he works, which is closed over the weekend. And they boot up his computer. Obviously, he had to put in the password, but I think he had a reasonable reason to say he's being coerced. And then they start asking him to change a report that he did. Yeah, as I said, we've heard a lot at Matlanga. I found that especially chilling. It's coming up now for 3:30. Right, let's get the very latest eyewitness news with Puleng Make. Good afternoon.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. Emergency teams are combing through the site of a wall collapse in Duranfontine near the Joburg CBD to determine if anyone is trapped under the rubble. Earlier today, a minor explosion occurred in a part of a student accommodation, affecting only the front part of the building. 4 people were injured, including a student. It's unclear at this stage what started the fire that led to the blast, while the students in the building are believed to be accounted for. Joburg Emergency Services spokesperson Robert Moraudzi says its protocols are to clear the rubble before leaving the scene.
Because we are not sure whether there are any other people who might be trapped, because our knowledge tells us that we cannot just leave the place with a rubble like that. So we need to make sure that we try and move that rubble, get that rubble moved, so that we can be definitely sure that there is no other people who might still be trapped under that rubble. That is where we are now.
He says teams are on site also conducting safety checks to avoid any further structural damage.
That extent of damages at this stage, we are told that it's a wall, of which we are not sure about whether they had some gas installation in the building. Our fire safety investigators will conduct that investigation. We'll be able to know whether there is indeed some gas supply in the building.
More than 8,000 cell phones were confiscated at correctional services across the country during the festive season. The Correctional Services Department held a media briefing in Pretoria today where it outlined its festive season operations. During more than 5,000 search operations conducted at prisons nationwide, officials recovered various forms of contraband ranging from electronic devices to marijuana and cash. Alfara Mushwana reports.
Correctional Services Commissioner Samuel Tobachale says more than 100,000 rand was confiscated from inmates at prisons nationwide during the festive season.
Gauteng is the highest with 37,193 rands, and the Eastern Cape follows with 28,379 rands. Small quantities of foreign currency were seized along with 400 counterfeit South African notes in the Free State and Northern Cape region.
He says inmates were also found with dangerous weapons.
A sum of 3,144 sharpened objects were removed from facilities. The Eastern Cape and the Free State, Northern Cape regions recorded the highest volumes of seized sharpened objects, indicating elevated security risks in this region.
Of the 8,000 cell phones that were seized in prison raids, Gauteng emerged as the primary hotspot for smuggled devices. Alpha Ramshwana, Eyewitness News, Pretoria.
Opposition parties in the Cape Town Council say the 114 million rand allocated to building a security wall along the N2 highway can be better spent in poorer communities. Cape Town Mayor John Hill-Lewis last week announced the city's N2 Edge safety project will go ahead. The wall, to be constructed over the next 2 years, will be built along a 9-kilometer stretch of the highway. Carlo Peterson has more.
Leader of the opposition in the Cape Town Council, ANC caucus leader Nditini Chido, says the city's plans to build a security wall along the N2 is senseless. Chido says the wall is an attempt by the city to hide poorer communities from tourists visiting Cape Town.
Hence pushing the poorer communities away or hiding their poverty away from the tourists who will be visiting Cape Town from the Cape Town International Airport.
Cape Town Mayor Jordan Hill-Lewis says it's not fair that a small number of criminals are impacting the safety of thousands of commuters.
This project will not only repair safety barriers and install new ones, it will also bring new pedestrian crossings, improved lighting, safety barriers for recreational spaces.
The Good Party says the money allocated for the wall could be better spent on social development in poorer communities. Carlo Peterson, Eyewitness News.
And 5 people have been arrested for exporting goods worth at least $35 million to Russia. The suspects allegedly used a company based in the Baltic seaport city of Lübeck to arrange about 16,000 shipments to Russia. Federal prosecutors say this is a violation of European Union sanctions. The suspects will face an investigating judge of the Federal Court of Justice tomorrow. A look at your weather. It's a partly cloudy Monday in Gauteng with scattered showers and thunder showers expected. Temperatures are peaking at highs of between 28 and 31 degrees.
Mooifontein in Pretoria, there's an accident seen on Garsfontein Road. This is causing about a 30-minute delay between Bleskop and Solomon Mahlangu, while in Edenvale, bumper-to-bumper traffic on the R24 westbound between Edenvale Road and the Giluli's interchange. Bedford View, traffic sluggish, N3 South from Linksfield Road to Van Buren.
Top story in Eyewitness News this hour. Emergency teams are combing through the site of a wall collapse in Duranfontine near the Joburg CBD to determine if anyone is trapped under the rubble.
Africa Milani.
Weekday mornings,
4 to 6.
Today will be the first day for the new National Director of Public Prosecutions, that's Advocate Andy Motibi. What will be his major areas of focus, or what should they be, do you think?
Mobilize sufficiently experienced and competent, well-equipped team, prosecutors, investigators and forensic experts to get one conviction in state capture. It's not too much to ask. He's got to do that. That has got to be the first thing. Before he has his cornflakes this morning, that he has to attend to.
Linus Brenbach, the Member of Parliament for the Democratic Alliance.
Africa Milani.
4 to 6 on 702.
Running a business can feel like a solo mission. I mean, you've got the hustle. If only your office Wi-Fi was your employee of the month. Turn on your success with Telkom Business, the partner that always shows up. Get a reliable 25 by 25 megabytes per second connection with Stream Connect Fiber for only 489 rands per month.
This summer, your business deserves the best. Visit telkom.co.za/business for deals that connect your business. T's and C's apply. Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
Do you suffer from heartburn and hyperacidity? To relieve heartburn for the whole day and night with one tablet, a potent once-a-day treatment which was previously prescription only is now available over the counter. Ask your pharmacist for an over-the-counter, long-lasting heartburn treatment. Brought to you by Sandoz.
Driver on the road or driver on the golfing green? Auto & General covers the world's best drivers. Auto & General, the official regional insurance partner of Live Golf South Africa 2026 and 702 are putting your driver knowledge to the test for your chance to win a share of 100,000 rand. Up to the challenge? WhatsApp 072 702 1702 with the keyword Auto & General and follow the prompts. Every day this week, 702 Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa could call you back to play. Thanks to Auto & General on 702. TCs and more on primemediaplus.com. Auto & General is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Good afternoon, George. Shabulani from Whiteville, Illinois. So for me, I used to make myself look older, like when I wanted to buy some beers there when we were young. Go maybe to the boxing store there. I'll try maybe and pull my forehead to see these other guys there. I think they've got lines. I will try and pull up my eyes up like so that I can make those lines in my forehead. But some guys will pick me up, some they wouldn't pick me up. I will be able to buy some beer sometimes not. Thank you.
Yeah, the question we asked, what things have you done to try and make yourself look older? Why did you do it? Maybe you are still doing it, but give us a call on that on 011 883 0702 and 072 702. Give us a call on 011 883 0702. WhatsApp voice notes, just to repeat that number, 072 702 1702. It's 20 to 4.
EWN Sport.
Tola Kele Mganga, very good afternoon to you.
Afternoon, John. And Sports Minister Gayton McKenzie says no formal decision has been taken to relocate the 2026 WAFCON finals away from Morocco. That's after his deputy announced that South Africa would step in and stage the tournament. McKenzie issued a clarifying statement after Peace Mabe said the 2010 FIFA World Cup host will be hosting this year's WAFCON, which is scheduled to kick off on the 17th of March. So far, Morocco remains the designated host of the tournament, while CAF have yet to respond to the speculation. Switching over to the Confederation Cup, where it was contrasting fortunes for the local sides as Stellenbosch lost 3-0 to Sierra's Bolestad, while Kaizer Chiefs beat Zesco United 1-0. It's Amakosi's fourth successive 1-0 victory in all competitions this year, and Lebu Maboi says the team prides itself on their defense.
I think if you look at the league, we number one in terms of clean sheets and defense. I think it's a team effort. You know, we all know that we have to protect our keeper. gives us a lot of confidence. It gives us a lot of confidence because we know that it's a football game. You're bound to make mistakes, but knowing that you've got a keeper of his quality behind us, we know that we've got someone that we can trust and we can really, really believe in.
Benjamin Sheshko scored a stop at Muna as Manchester United made it 3 wins in a row under Michael Carrick following a 3-2 victory over Fulham. The Red Devils had surrendered a 2-0 lead before securing a victory that moved them back into the Premier League's top 4.
Never take anything for granted at all. We can perform better than what we did today, I think, but that's credit to Fulham being such a good team. Sitting here thinking it's a good sign we feel we can get better. That doesn't mean that all of a sudden we get better and we keep winning games. I think understanding what got us to this point is important, and the hard work and the kind of work for each other that the lads are certainly putting in. I think that's important. But listen, I'm not getting carried away. It's great when you're in a position and you're winning games for sure, but it doesn't mean you necessarily just win the next one.
Carlos Alcaraz admits that he doesn't have time to reflect on his success due to the demanding nature of the tennis calendar. His comments come after he became the youngest man to complete a career Grand Slam following a 4-sets victory over Novak Djokovic in the Australian Open final. At 22 years old, the Spaniard becomes the 9th man in history to win all 4 major tennis titles.
Tennis is really beautiful, but part of tennis, it is we have tournaments week after week after week, and sometimes you don't realize what you've been doing lately, because once you finish a tournament, your mind is about going to the next tournament. Sometimes you don't stop yourself and think about what you're doing. What I've learned this year is about appreciate and enjoy every single second of the moment you're living. Not only lifting the trophies, but playing tournaments, playing tennis, getting victories, getting losses.
Tola Gilimganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
So traffic's starting to build. I would think it is 17 minutes to 4. Some of you getting ready to go. Let's give you the best advice that we can possibly muster. And if you're heading out of Pretoria in an easterly direction, Karabo Charlie, there's some areas to avoid.
Yeah, that's Mooi Kloof in Pretoria East. There's an accident scene on Duranfontine Road, and this is causing about a 30-minute delay between Blairskop and Solomon Mahlangu, while in Ekurhuleni, Edenville area, there's still bumper traffic heading towards Bedfordview on the R24 westbound between Edenville Road and the Gilulies interchange, while in Klipoki, Boksburg, traffic sluggish on Heidelberg Road approaching North Rand Road, North Boundary Road. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. Driving the conversation on 702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman. Powered by Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
702 Drive. So we were asking the question a little bit earlier. Have you ever done anything to make yourself look older? And if you did, what did you do? And crucially, what is it that you are actually were actually trying to achieve? Maybe you're still going down that particular road. Tola Kelly, can you think of things you did to... Everything I think of is like from my teens, like trying to get into a casino and wearing platform shoes, trying to, at the age of 16, look 21. You can imagine how that went.
John, why were 21-year-olds going to casino in your age?
Because they didn't have them in South Africa. We were in Swaziland. It was like a big thing. I don't know why. We had so little money. I mean, it's a jolly good thing we didn't get a chance to lose it. I mean, the other thing I was also always trying to get into was, movies had age restrictions, very strict ones, and you'd sort of turn up saying you're 16 or 18. That was generally a failure as well. But how about yourself?
I've never tried. I was lucky that if I wanted to watch like an overage movie, because my brother's 4 years older than me,
yes,
I just told my parents that I had to take him along.
Yes,
and that's how I always managed to get in, even though I was much younger. But I've never tried. I think when I was a teenager, so it was like wearing heels, wearing some of my mom's clothes. But I think even she could be like, babes, don't rush the process. It will happen eventually.
Yeah. No, but it's interesting because the example Tolakele that Refuwe gave was about, she went, I think, on a date with a guy, and he was just talking about how he changes his appearance to look a lot more sober, more formal, bit older. Maybe some people maybe get glasses out and so on for either work purposes. I mean, maybe in interviews, people try to look a little bit older because there may be an association, not with the age on your application form and in your ID, but people, you want to look more experienced, a bit more worldly perhaps.
I remember being in high school before I realized that I'd actually need them in the future. I did try to rock glasses because for me, like all the kids that had glasses looked like they were the smartest in the class.
Yes.
So for like 2 weeks, I went through that period, but then my eyes got really sore. And then my mom had to be like, babes, you don't need them. But now that I'm older, I can't even see without them. So I really should have appreciated my eyes.
Did you have clear frames?
Yes.
Okay. And even then your eyes just felt exhausted.
Yep.
Maybe it was the effort of trying to look older
And look
and
at
more
me now.
serious. Look at us now. Well, I can look at you because I've got my glasses on. Yeah, no glasses. Nah. I always wanted glasses when I didn't need glasses, and I don't mind them now. But yeah, your eyesight does tend to deteriorate. It's 14 minutes now to 4 o'clock.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive. So in the course of the last, I think it's a good couple of months now, we've had a lot of rain. We've had serious flooding in certain parts. But our focus on rain now is very much with regard to our summer crops. Maize very much central to the South African diet, crucial to the food security that we aspire to and the food security that we are so vulnerable to losing, given all the other things going on with the cost of living, joblessness, and so on. So very interesting comments made by someone we regularly invite onto the show. Wandile Sihlobo is chief economist at the Agricultural Business Chamber of South Africa, and he today has been raising the question as to whether we may be getting too much rain. Volume is a factor, but timing is crucial as well. Let's bring him onto the show. Mr. Sihlobo, welcome, and thanks as always for giving us your time today. Are we particularly concerned about maize in this regard, or is it some other crops as well?
As they say, rain brings grain, and I think that this time around we're still holding optimism. And I must say, though, it's still very early in the season, but looking at the area that the farmers have planted, it is up 2% from what they planted last year for all of the grain. They've planted about 4.5 million hectares. And I think if we continue to get rain and some days where there's a bit of a sunshine, all of this bodes well for better yields down the line. But yes, there's still a bit of runway to go through, but so far things are looking well.
So you spoke about not just volume, but timing. I mean, I would have thought, for example, is maize vulnerable to the physical force of heavy rain? I would think if you're planting apricots, for example, and it really buckets down, you might actually end up losing crop onto the floor before it's had a chance to ripen. Is maize more robust in that regard? I would assume it is.
It is a bit robust, but of course it always depends at what stage of growth it is in. And also when did the season start, which is why the timing is everything. Because if you think about last year, for example, the 2024-25 production season, it was late by almost a month and a half. And the rain also stretched far longer than it typically ends. You would expect that the summer rain should end around about February, March, but the rain continued to the end of April. But because the season had started also late, that rain did not cause much of a damage. But if your season started on time in October, you want the rain to stop in March, because if it continues into April, then that begins causing all issues around the quality of the crop, which ultimately then puts the farmers at a loss. And of course, then it presents all food security concerns every now and then. But we are not there. And I think that this time around, so far, the rain has been coming quite on time. And the forecast suggests that it would probably continue until the end of March, which will be the good time before then we start getting a warmer weather conditions or drier weather conditions that are key for the maturation of the crop.
You talk about a 2% increase in hectares under maize, if I heard you correctly. What implications does that have, firstly, for volume of the national crop, but secondly, and more crucially, for pricing? I mean, food price inflation needs all the deterrence we can give it. Does a larger crop automatically lead to better pricing, or is much of that already decided on the futures markets where prices are already set?
A larger crop always helps in ensuring that we continue on a moderating path of a food price inflation. I mentioned earlier that we have about 4.5 million hectares. That's all of our summer grains and oilseeds. But if you zoom into maize, the farmers likely planted about 2.7 million hectares, up 3% from last year. And remember, last season was already a good one because we had the second largest maize crop on record. As you and I speak today, maize prices in South Africa are down by plus 30% from a year ago. And that is already feeding in positively when you are thinking about the gains on the moderated food price inflation path. If then the weather continues to remain favorable, I would say that going on throughout the year and perhaps maybe even into the next year, you can expect that nicely moderating food price inflation path. But again, John, it's still early on this particular crop, but all of the signs are pointing to a better season.
If we stay with the various components of the South African diet, and of course not many people, or many people at the best of times, struggle to afford red meat certainly as often as they would like. But foot and mouth, if we could just change tack slightly, where are we on that? And is that still as precarious as it certainly looks from the distance I'm sitting?
Look, on the foot and mouth disease, it remains a major challenge in South Africa. And of course, the farmers, cattle farmers, are experiencing major financial losses and are unable to export to the various markets that we were starting to gain traction in widening on. What now is key for South Africa is for us to have sufficient vaccine so that the vaccination campaign can take place. Remember, we said at the end of last year as the country that we would vaccinate all of our cattle, which is just over 12 million cattle.
Yes.
But the challenge we had then, John, at the time is that we are not producing sufficient vaccines. We are having to import that, and that's where now the process still needs to be accelerated. As you and I speak today, things are not looking as good, but at least there is a sense of a direction of where we are heading. But we really need to speed up the imports of vaccines so that then the farmers and the vets, private and public ones, they can begin to assist in the vaccination. And then perhaps maybe mid-year we can start having an upbeat conversation.
Thank you so much. Wandile Sihlobo, Chief Economist at the Agricultural Business Chamber of South Africa. If you're in the farming business, I know we don't have many listeners out in rural areas, but how's the rain been for you, particularly if you're farming maize or any of the other summer crops? Give us your take. Maybe there's a relative you're in regular touch with, or maybe there's a family farm and you're always trying to keep up with how things are looking back home. Optiplus, wherever it is. Call us on that, 011 8830 702.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
Hey, Minister, a record 10.4 million international visitors last year.
Yes, we are indeed very excited. South Africa was chosen as one of the most beautiful places on earth for people to visit. Another level of confidence as it goes to tourism infrastructure investment. The French luxury resort brand Club Med will be opening in KZN in June this year. That was a public-private partnership of 2.5 billion rand. So that shows confidence in our country.
Patricia de Lille, the Minister of Tourism.
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
Tip your way to glory in the Hollywood Bets Punters Challenge, the free-to-play horse racing game with daily cash giveaways and massive jackpot prizes. Pick all the winners on the race card and you could win 100,000 Rand. Bet 50 Rand or more on your selections using the Bet Slip feature and you could walk away with 1 million Rand. Visit punterschallenge.hollywoodbets.net today and tip your way to the top.
T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008.
Every day I'm hustling. It's our reality as business owners. And it's good to know that there's someone
out there who takes care of the business that makes the business. Gotta love My Way Business Insurance. Saving big on premiums with 24/7 emergency services, plus My Business Assist with marketing, legal, and labor advice services.
Visit myway.co.za or dial 0860 64 64 64 and get a quote today. My Way is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's, C's, and standard rates apply. My Way. Live your way.
Stay with 702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman. Brought to you by Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
Well, fabulous news out of the Grammys. Tyler winning Best African Music Performance Award for Push to Start. She keeps hauling them in, and that's great news for her, but also, I think, for our music industry as well. Another South African, though, involved in the Grammys, Trevor Noah, hosting it, I think, for the 6th time, made a joke about Donald Trump, and I'll just share it with you. He said something, Song of the Year, that's a Grammy that every artist wants almost as much as Trump wants Greenland, which makes sense because Epstein's island is gone, referring to Jeffrey Epstein. And to complete the comment that Trevor Noah made, he needs a new one to hang out with Bill Clinton. Well, Donald Trump was extremely unhappy about this, posted on his feed. He said, Noah, a total loser better get his facts straight and get them straight fast. Looks like I'll be sending my lawyers to sue this poor, pathetic, talentless dope of an MC and suing him for plenty of dollars. He says, get ready, Noah. I'm going to have some fun with you. President DJT is the sign-off. And he prefaces all of this by saying he had never, ever been to Jeffrey Epstein's island. Said he couldn't speak for Bill Clinton in this regard. So what happens in American courts, and how likely would a lawsuit like this actually be to succeed? Ben Winks is an advocate specializing in media, constitutional and international law. Ben Winks, welcome, and thanks very much for your time. In American courts, do comedians get any kind of special rights, or is libel?
Well, thanks for having me first, John. In the U.S., the threshold for defamation is quite high in a few respects, because the First Amendment enshrines freedom of speech so highly. The courts have to be satisfied, firstly, that the person has a reputation to defend or to vindicate. So there is such a thing in the U.S. as a libel-proof plaintiff. We don't have that here, but in the U.S. you have a concept of a libel-proof plaintiff, which is someone whose reputation is already so poor that the definition of defamation is not actually met, which is that the statement concerned would tend to lower the esteem in which they are held by the community.
Right.
So if your reputation in the eyes of the community or right-thinking members of the community is already so poor, then you have no reputation to vindicate, no reputation to form the subject of an actionable lawsuit. That's one defense that Noah could raise if he sued in the American courts.
Can I just say, if they wheel out the election figures, I think Trevor Noah's defense would be in shreds if he even bothered. Clearly, the president of the U.S. does have a reputation to defend.
Well, it's a question of the particular allegations concerned. Has he been accused of that so many times? So if, for example, he hadn't been to Epstein Island, but he had a conviction of some kind of sexual abuse, obviously he doesn't in this case, but if Trevor Noah was able to lead evidence, for example, that Trump did visit Epstein Island, so there's some evidence in the Epstein files that he did visit the island, of course, then he has a slam dunk defense, truth and public interest. But more likely he's relying on the wide latitude that's afforded to opinions or expressions of comment, as we call them here. And that is where satire comes in. And there's wide license to express an opinion about somebody's conduct or character, as long as it's clearly an opinion and not meant to be taken seriously as a statement of fact. So here it appears to be a statement of fact that Trump went to Epstein Island. But
Right.
going to a geographical location is not on its own a defamatory statement. Trump is relying on the innuendo that he associates with a pedophile and an abuser of minors, a sexual abuser of minors, which those words, pedophile, sexual abuser, are not in Noah's statement itself.
Right.
Those are innuendos that Trump has to plead and prove. Now, if, for example, Noah says, well, it's my opinion that he is a moral degenerate based on X, Y, and Z. Therefore, the court cannot vindicate a reputation that's undeserved, to use the language of some of our judgments. If he shows that this person has engaged in such sexual predation in his life that he can't rely on a reputation for chastity or moral purity, then he could very well have a defense. But the important thing is that there's an onus on Trump to prove actual malice. Now, actual malice would mean in this context that Noah knows for a fact that what he is saying is not true. So he's deliberately lying. Now, that is quite a difficult thing to prove, which is why free speech is so raucously exercised in the U.S. For so many years.
Thank you so much. We'll have to leave it there, unfortunately. Ben Winks, advocate specializing in media, constitutional and international law. It's 4:01.
This is EWN.
Madanga accused Karim heads to court, and Joburg EMS is still at the scene of a wall collapse in the CBD. Good afternoon, I'm Buleng Make. We begin with breaking news. Controversial Northwest businessman Suleiman Karim has approached the Pretoria High Court on an urgent basis to interdict his appearance before the Madanga Commission. Karim was mentioned in KZN Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi's July 6 briefing as a businessman who has been meddling with police affairs. In testimony heard at the commission, Karim used his political links to influence and ensure alleged crime boss Vusimuzi Kat Matlala payments from the police regarding his 360 million rand tender. Now, almost 12 hours after a wall collapse at a student building in Duranfontine, emergency teams are still on site to give the owners their all clear. Part of the building collapsed earlier today after a transformer caught fire and exploded in a small utility room at the front of the structure near the Joburg CBD. 4 people were injured and taken to hospital for burn wounds. Nokanya Mtambo is there and joins us live with the latest. Nokanya, what are emergency teams hoping to get done before sunset?
Pulling very little for them to do at the moment while they wait for the technical teams to assess the damage before bringing in the equipment to sift through the rubble. It really looked like a simple job when we arrived, but experts say they really don't want to leave anything to chance, making sure that there's no one under the rubble, that there's no possible gas leak in the building, and no further structural building to itself before clearing it up and either deeming it safe or otherwise. Some students, in fact, making their way out of the adjacent student accommodation, just watching on, hoping as well that there is some resolve to it as soon as possible. The Joburg mayoral candidate Helen Zille was also here a little earlier on doing an assessment of her own. Have a listen to what she had to say after speaking to the technical teams on site.
I'm deeply concerned about it. And I've just heard, but again, I haven't confirmed this. I must say that I have not confirmed this. I've heard that it's not the first time that there's been overheating at this transformer with consequences, but this time the consequences were apparently much worse than the previous time.
Buleng City Power is currently on site. I understand they've just arrived, so I'll have a word with them as well. Also just arriving a few moments ago is the Joburg MMC for Public Safety, Mgrini Tuaku, who's usually actually quite here quite early on the scene, but Helen Villa beating him to that this time around. I know he was at a meeting with Home Affairs, but he's also just gone in with the City Power officials to get an update from the teams that were here earlier on in the day. And once he comes out from that assessment, we'll hopefully get a clearer picture of where to from here and what the assessment has been. Nogukanya Mdambo, Eyewitness News, reporting live from Duranfontine in the Joburg CBD.
To this now, embattled KZN Hawks boss Lesetja Senona has declined to meet with the unit's acting head, Lieutenant General Sipesi Hlenkosi. EWNS understands that the reasons provided by Senona may relate to aspects around his safety. This comes after it emerged yesterday that Senona had gone into hiding, fearing for his life after testifying before the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry last week. On Saturday, Senona was ordered to leave his office at the KZN police headquarters in Durban after allegedly breaching protocol. Oren Singh reports.
On Saturday, embattled KZN Hawks boss Lesetja Senona allegedly didn't sign the register to enter KZN police headquarters and also attempted to leave with his state laptop and certain documents before being instructed to leave everything behind. KZN police alluded to the possible risk of the leakage or destruction of information, given that Senona is one of 5 senior-ranking police officers who are the subject of an ongoing investigation after being named in the Madlanga Commission 3-month interim report. EWN understands Senona was meant to continue with a disciplinary hearing into the Ishmael Nangi matter at the head office in Pretoria this week. Nangi, an alleged Mozambican kidnapping kingpin, was arrested by members of Senona's team in late 2024, but surprisingly, the charges against Nangi, accused of kidnapping a KZN businessman at the time, never stuck. Oren Singh, Eyewitness News.
Police ballistics expert Itumeleng Makgotwe has told the Madlanga Commission that the suspected some crime intelligence officers who raided his office were illegitimate. He says witness B from Crime Intelligence had earlier falsely accused him before the Commission of tampering with a ballistics report on the murder of engineer Armand Swart, who was killed in a case of mistaken identity. Makgotwe also denied he made a link between ballistics from Swart's Vereeniging murder and the arrests of suspects in Bramley, with several other high-profile cases. Babalundense reports.
Itumeleng Makgotwe told the Madlanga Commission how his ballistics report was demanded by Witness B, who has already testified before the inquiry. Witness B accused Makgotwe of tampering with the report and had gone to his office to get a copy, accompanied by heavily armed police.
They specifically were looking for the ballistic report I prepared for the Vereeniging and Bramley cases.
But Makgotwe says he refused their offer to take him home to fetch something because he didn't trust that they were legitimate police officers.
I refused passing by my house due to the safety concerns I had, fearing that would expose my family to the risk in the event that I was in the company of illegitimate police officers.
He says he eventually printed out the report and handed it over to Crime Intelligence after a lengthy interrogation. Babalondense, Eyewitness News.
Gold is trading at $4,783, 1 cent an ounce. The rand is at 15.99 to the dollar, 21.90 to the pound, 18.96 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $69.32 a barrel.
Mountain View Pretoria traffic pressure on the R18 northbound. That's Mabopani Highway between Eskiam Patlele and the Hairpin Bend. Bryanston, slow-moving traffic on the N1 south from Rivonia Road to Inimandela Drive. Linksfield traffic is heavily backed up on the N3 south from Modderfontein Road to Van Riebeck.
In your sport, Gayton McKenzie clarifies claim that South Africa will host WAFCON 2026. Stellenbosch fall to Sierra Bollo's dad as Kaizer Chiefs make it back-to-back wins in the CAF Confed Cup. And a hatred for losing drives Carlos Alcaraz to tennis history.
A look at your weather. Partly cloudy Tuesday in store for Gauteng tomorrow with afternoon thunder showers expected. Joburg drops to overnight lows of 13 peaking at 27 degrees. Pretoria 15 and 30. Vereeniging 14 also reaching highs of 30 degrees. Partly cloudy Cape Town along with fresh southeasterly winds at a low of 20 peaking at 29 degrees. The top story in Eyewitness News this hour: controversial Northwest businessman Sanction Karim has approached the Pretoria High Court on an urgent basis to interdict his appearance before the Madlanga Commission.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
7:02.
Drive home with John Perlman
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
on 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
7:02 Drive, it's 10 minutes past 4. How's your first day of the week been going? If you're still at work, I assume not that long to go. Unless, of course, you've just arrived because you're working some kind of late shift. Either way, hope it's a good day, hope it's a good week. We are already in the second month of a no longer brand new year. Coming up on the show, South African Defence Force issues are often in the news. The South African National Defence Force, strapped for cash, was accused of not equipping our soldiers in the eastern part of the DRC properly. And yet, on Armed Forces Day on 21 February, there will be a parade of some kind. We'll find out more details for which they have allocated 372 million rand. Kasatu has called this mind-boggling and grotesque. We'll get the view from closer to the SANDF when we talk to Advocate Puki Greef, who is National Secretary of the South African National Defence Union. What are the soldiers who are members of that union saying about all this? Looking forward to his view. We've been focusing a little bit this week on food prices and things that could bring them up, i.e. too much rain affecting the maize crop. So far, so good, says Wandile Sitlobe. But what about moves that might bring the cost of food down? We'll talk to someone who is campaigning for chicken to be zero rated for the purposes of VAT. Francois Baird joining us from the Fair Play Movement, an organization he founded. He'll be with us about 20 past 4. And then at 10 to 5, the search for someone super smart but also able to keep their cool with all of that brain power. The brain of 702 got underway today with Bongani Bingwa on breakfast. Bongani back with another round tomorrow. We are doing our part to find that super smart person. Brain of 702 coming your way at 10 to 5. Yep, it's time for you to be driving or sitting with friends and saying, I knew that one. I knew that one. Yeah, it's fun. It's fun for all of us and a little taxing for the contestants, but they entered because they thought it would be fun too. 12 minutes past 4, we asked you about things you might have done to make yourself look older. Bernard says, drank milk. How does drinking milk make you look older? Anyway, Bernard, if you want to do a follow-up, Muputso is quite philosophical and said, caring about business that isn't my own. And here's one I just simply don't understand. Sipo says, chewing air. Okay, so is it what is that? Chewing when there's nothing in your mouth?
Yeah, well, isn't that what usually old people like to do? Like,
oh, I see. Trying to rearrange the teeth they don't have. Okay, well, chewing air. So we've got 3. And then somebody else said I wore bigger clothes and then thought, nah. I don't know why bigger clothes would make you look older, but maybe it does. 13 minutes past 4. If you've got some little stories to tell, please tell them to us.
702. WhatsApp John
On 072
702
1702.
Good afternoon, John. Oh, buildings collapsing. Now, that's big news. But the supply of water to the whole of Midrand and areas towards Sanction have collapsed. For the second time this year, those big, massive residential areas are without water. The first time some weeks back was for 8 days. This time around, this is day 3, and no sign of water arriving anytime soon. Have a good day that side of the world. Tom, Midrand.
My own experience is I have a young-looking face and body, much younger than my own age. So I have to tell people I've been in business for so many years. I have this old children that have got so many children. Therefore, I know what I'm talking about. I've got so many grandchildren, And then people then turn around and they change, the whole facade changes, the questions start coming in. Then they take me seriously, and we then have a successful meeting. Thank you.
So interesting. I mean, on the one hand, the question had a lightheartedness about it. Noni Entle says, I wear heavy makeup. Jeremy says, to make himself look old, he said, I had a couple of birthdays. Yeah, I don't think that was you, Jeremy. I think time advances whether we have a birthday celebration of any kind or not. But thank you for that dry humor. I enjoyed that. But yeah, it for some people it is a serious issue because it is about a sense of gravitas, of being taken seriously, of being regarded as experienced or whatever it might be. Keep those coming, as I said, 072 702 1702. It's 4:15.
EWN Traffic.
Okay, out onto the roads we go one more time. Karabo, Chali, Mountain View. Is that Pretoria again, the north part?
Yeah, that's the north part of Pretoria. So if you're heading towards Soshanguve, leaving Mountain View, Pretoria CBD, expect heavy delays. This is on the R18 northbound Mabopane Highway between Eskiam Pahlele and the Hairpin Bend in Bryanston. Slow-moving traffic on the N1 southbound from Rivonia Road to Winnie Mandela Drive. Linksfield traveling towards Germiston, traffic heavily backed up on the N3 southbound between Motorfontein Road and Van Buren. There's also bumper-to-bumper traffic heading towards Bedford View. That's in Edenvale on the R24 westbound between Edenvale Road and the Gilulis interchange. In Tlepoki, Boksburg, traffic remains sluggish on Heidelberg Road approaching North Boundary Road. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. You're now listening to 702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman. Brought to you by Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive. Let's focus our attention now on the South African National Defence Force, in particular, an event that is scheduled for the 21st of February. It is held every year. I've heard it called Armed Forces Day. I've also heard it called Defence Force Day. Either way, it is a parade and an expo, I believe, an exhibition of some kind. The question, though, that is being asked is it really justified given the extreme circumstances of deprivation under which our troops were sent to the eastern DRC? We heard stories of troops having to buy their own equipment in some regard, not weaponry, obviously, but things like sleeping bags. I think tents came into it as well. 372 million rand has been allocated for that. So let's get a view from closer to the inside of the SANDF and welcome Advocate Pikkie Greef, who's National Secretary of the South African National Defence Union. Very good afternoon to Pikkie Greef, and thanks very much for giving us your time. Before we look at the amount, what exactly is Armed Forces Day? What is it meant to achieve?
Good afternoon, John. Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. I think it's an annual parade that the Defence Force engages in, except for last year, out of respect for those that passed in the battle. But it's an annual parade where the Defence Force has an opportunity to mingle with communities, and of course this year it's in Thohoyandou, and let the community have some more insight into what the Defence Force is about, what it offers as a career opportunity, and just to generally boost the morale of the community and show strength.
I mean, I can see the value of doing that. I'm struggling to see the 372 million rand price tag.
John, let me just say I'm not sure where that price tag comes from. I know it was something that circulated in the media. From our side, we haven't seen any specific price tag to it, but be that as it may, obviously, it's going to cost a lot of money. I think also one must not think that it's only a one-day parade on the 22nd. It actually starts on the 2nd of February, and those troops are already there. And it involves a lot of equipment that has to be moved, a lot of personnel. They have to be set up on the terrain in tents and so on. So it does give a lot of operational practice to the soldiers as well. And yeah, that's basically what, obviously every operation and every exercise is going to cost money. I think what I would urge in this conversation or this topic when we have a conversation about it is, if the budget of the SANDF was sorted, we would not be having this conversation.
No, well, I mean, I think that's part of the context, but I mean, maybe you can remind me. I recall a conversation you and I had. If I've misremembered it, please put me right. But when the troops were deployed to Goma on the eastern side of the DRC under dangerous conditions, there were some things they weren't being supplied with, and they ended up buying them themselves. I mean, did that happen? And if so, what did they have to buy?
No, absolutely, it did happen. They had to buy their own tents, for instance, chopper tents. And it's still practice that many soldiers pay for their own boots, even while they're now back in South Africa. And there were various items that they had to buy, and at one stage they ran out of food, and they had to pay for their food as well, using local people to go and purchase it for them. Obviously, that is quite upsetting, and there's a lot of opinions about it, but also one must, on the other hand, also realize that the Defence Force cannot stop functioning altogether just because there's budget constraints. And that's of course, is the other side of the argument.
So I mean, I don't know if you've attended an Armed Forces Day, a Defence Day, whichever the correct term is, help me with that as well, if you will. But, I mean, this interaction with the community, what's your take on what you actually get out of it? I realize that there are potential career opportunities that might be spoken about, but a career expo in and of itself would be a much smaller event, surely, and a much cheaper one.
Obviously, but I also think it's about being a defence force. It's also about projecting one's image in the public's mind. Getting out to rural areas, for instance, where people would very often not have the opportunity to, be part of the Defence Force or see what it's about and actually see the actual equipment, etc. Those things are important. What the return on investment is it's very difficult to say.
Yeah.
But I think those kinds of events are important. It is a national Defence Force. That means it belongs to the people, and I suppose it's a good thing that the people get to mingle with the Defence Force.
Thanks so much, Advocate Pikkie Greef, National Secretary of the SA National Defence Union. If you are in the SANDF and you want to comment, you may want to keep that anonymous. Your feeling about money being spent in this way. If you've been to Armed Forces Day, do give us a call and tell us what you got out of it. If you live in Thohoyandou, the show is coming to town starting from today. What are your thoughts about that? Does it, as Advocate Pikkie Greef suggests, act as a positive event in your community's life? Maybe you've got a view on that, although it could well be too early since things only start today and the big build-up is towards the 21st of February. 072-702-1702. It's 22 minutes past 4.
Drive home with John Perlman
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
We've been focusing on and off, but a little bit today on the price of food. And we started off, if you missed it, chatting to agricultural economists from the Agricultural Business Chamber of South Africa, Wandile Sihlobo, about the maize crop. All looking good there. No, at the moment, any great fears of either a shortage of crop or the consequent impact on prices. But there are other things that, in some people's view, cost too much. For the organization, the Fair Play Movement, they believe that chicken is a critical source of protein in South Africa, and they're campaigning for it to be zero rated for the purposes of VAT. Obviously, they're being backed by the poultry industry itself, the South African Poultry Association getting in strongly behind that call. But why chicken and perhaps not other sources of protein? Let's get the view then of the founder of the movement, Francois Baird. A very good afternoon to you, and thanks for your time.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me on. For us, it's a very simple.
Yes, can I ask you a question first before you jump in, if you don't mind? I can understand that this will benefit some people, but it is a tax that would also potentially benefit someone like me who doesn't need the relief in the same way. How do you know it's going to hit the mark? Because it might be that even with a VAT zero rating benefit, some people still can't afford chicken.
We've asked for those chicken pieces mostly used by poor people,
right,
to be zero. So it's not a blanket zero rating of all the chicken you might possibly buy for fast food and that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And the reason we asked for that is because 66% of all meat consumed in South Africa is chicken. And as you know, that's a basic building block for health of people. And South Africa has a massive problem. In fact, we at Fair Play think it's a scandal that child stunting has grown. It's not receding.
Right.
In 2017, when we first called for VAT-free chicken, child stunting was 27%. Now it's 28.8%.
Mm-hmm.
That
shocking.
is simply shocking. It's terrible.
How are you going, if indeed there is meaningful engagement with government, with Treasury, or wherever your point of contact is, if conversations are going, how are they going?
You may recall that in 2024, during the election, many political parties adopted VAT-free chicken as part of their platforms. So we're encouraged by the fact that there are many parties now in the government of national unity whose platform is actually that they want VAT-free chicken.
Right.
And what we are hoping for this year is that all of those political parties who have made VAT-free chicken their platform will now speak up, because this is a responsibility for government. Child stunting is a government responsibility. They must be accountable for helping the poorest people. And as you rightly point out, South Africa is food secure at a national level. It's at a household level where food security is an issue for poor people, not for middle-class people. You and I, we don't need that help. But that's why government has to step up. And the political parties, after all, they've been elected on this platform. And it's up to them now to step up. And we are hoping to very soon invite political parties to a webinar where they can explain what they're doing about this. Because we think it's really vital for the body politic to stand up, be accountable, and help poor people to get access to animal protein, which chicken is the most affordable.
Thank you so much, Francois Baird. Important clarification right at the start of our conversation when he said they're not looking for zero rating on all chicken, but on certain pieces of in the chicken production chain that are mostly consumed by people who've got really, really tight budgets. He's founder of the Fair Play movement, and he shared with us a really alarming statistic that the levels of stunting observed in South African children, and the consequences of stunting are not just physical, but educational and mental as well. So we'll pay a big, big price for that as a country, and obviously the individuals who suffer something that terrible will pay an even bigger one. But 28.8%, I think, was the number. Need to get our heads around that and see what remedies might work. Do you agree? Zero VAT rating for certain kinds of chicken portions and pieces. Give us your views on whether that's a campaign you'd get behind. 28 minutes past 4.
EWN Business.
Stephen Curtis, a very good afternoon to you. I know it's bad, but there was a time when it was a lot worse, wasn't it?
Yeah, indeed, John. Good afternoon. In fact, I'd say probably for most of the afternoon, a bit of a recovery on the JSE. But it was astonishing just how much gold dropped. So $5,500 last week. Went to around $4,600 over the weekend and into this morning. That really was bad. And that pushed the mining shares down dramatically, pushed the JSE ore share down very strongly at the open. Silver was $100 last week. It's just over $80 now, John. I mean, that just shows you. And what's really happened is lots of people have been piling lots of money into gold, silver, platinum. I think there's a bit of a, oh my word, what have we done? We were warned last week, volatility is to come, and here we are, and here's the volatility that we're going to see. So yes, as happens so often, there is a little bit of a recovery. The JSE ore share down just 1% now, 1.03% at 118,804 points. Financials up 1.48 Industrials up 0.82. And then resources, they're down 5.37 on an ordinary day. That would be pretty dramatic, but compared to where they were this morning, that's not too bad. And it is what you would expect. So Sibanye down now nearly 9%, Implat's down nearly 8%, Northam down nearly 7.5%, Alterra down 7%, Harmony down nearly 7%, ASP Isotopes, which makes something that's not at all related to metals, they're also down 6.72, and you got Goldfields and DRD Gold, all of them down strongly. Sasol down also 4% on the day. But John, one or two trading results coming through, and that's pushing things up a little bit. So Pepkor up 3.25%. They reported their sales, their group revenue for the 3 months to the end of December was up by nearly 13% to just under 30 billion rand. If you exclude acquisitions during the period, so what they bought, group revenue is up by 8.3%, and like-for-like sales up 3%. Their fintech revenue is up by over 25%. They'll be very pleased with that. ShopRite also having some very strong results, and you wouldn't be entirely surprised with that. Their sales up by 7.2% in the 6 months to the end of December. Their South African supermarkets, most of those are Checkers outlets, their sales were up 7.1%. In other words, they increased sales by nearly 8 billion rand over the period. The group says they were able to keep in-store inflation, John, this made my eyes pop, in-store inflation during the quarter to just 0.7%. That's well below food price inflation for that 6 months. And then like-for-like sales in their supermarket groups up 1.9%. For those who are interested, prices in their liquor department were deflationary. Richmond is up 2.74. Exaro is up 2. MTN is up 2.25 as well. And Sanlam up 3.65. News today of the completion of that transaction with 91. And we'll speak to 91 on the Money Show tonight. In the US, stock index futures falling ahead of the open, which is happening now because of that sell-off in precious metals. So there's a bit of unsettling there. And so as a result, that's sort of what people are going to be watching. But as those markets open, we'll get a better view of what's going on. The gold price now, $4,715.59. Platinum, $2,128.72. Brent crude, $66.32. The rand to the dollar, 16.08. So also the rand down a little bit. To the euro, 18.99. To the British pound, 21.92. More volatility on the Money Show tonight. Stephen Curtis, EWN Business.
Thanks, Stephen. Let's get the very latest eyewitness news now. 29 minutes to 5. Here's Puleng Make with the details.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. Emergency teams are combing through the site of a wall collapse in Duranfontine near the CBD to determine if anyone is trapped under the rubble. Earlier today, a minor explosion occurred in a part of a student accommodation, affecting only the front part of the building. 4 people were injured, including a student. It is unclear at this stage what started the fire that led to the blast. While students in the building are believed to be accounted for, Joburg Emergency Service spokesperson Robert Mulaudzi says it's protocol to clear the rubble before leaving the scene.
Because we are not sure whether there are any other people who might be trapped, because our knowledge tells us that we cannot just leave the place with a rubble like that. So we need to make sure that we try and move that rubble, get that rubble moved, so that we can be definitely sure that there is no other people who might still be trapped under that rubble. That is where we are now.
He says teams on site are also conducting safety checks to avoid any further structural damage.
That extent of damages at this stage, we are told that it's a wall, of which we are not sure about whether they had some gas installation in the building. Our fire safety investigators will conduct that investigation. We'll be able to know whether there is indeed some gas supply in the building.
Now, political parties in Parliament are unhappy with the reluctance of National Assembly Speaker Thoko Didiza to issue a warrant for 2 witnesses to appear before Parliament's ad hoc committee investigating corruption within the police. Didiza says that she's not been provided sufficient evidence that the committee has properly considered and addressed the security concerns raised by forensic investigator Paul O'Sullivan and alleged police fixer Brown Mokgotsi, who have both refused to come to Parliament in person. Parties, including the ANC, MK and EFF, have tried to pin the blame on Parliament's legal advisor for not sufficiently persuading the Speaker. Lindsay Dentlinger reports.
In a letter to the committee, Speaker Toko Didiza says a court may rule it irrational for the committee not to accept a virtual appearance by investigator Paul O'Sullivan, who is currently in the United Kingdom. The ANC's Kusela Ngoni says the Speaker's response had been disappointing and suggests that she has not received cogent legal advice. The MK party Sibonelo Nomvalo agreed.
There is no aspect that we overlooked. So it means our legal team failed to persuade or to present the actual facts.
The EFF's Julius Malema went a step further, alleging something more sinister at play.
The reluctance to summon Paul O'Sullivan and Brown Mokgotsi really raises serious suspicions that we're dealing with something bigger than we think we're dealing with here.
The committee has resolved that legal advisors respond to both O'Sullivan and Brian Mokgotsi's security concerns and will again insist on the Speaker to summons them. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
A lawyer representing a man linked to a shooting incident outside the Athlone Magistrates Court believes the police arrested the wrong man. Maize Jacobs is accused of being involved in the brazen attack outside the court precinct in December. A man who was shot dead while another was left wounded in what police believe to be a gang-related hit. It's the state's case that Jacobs is an alleged gangster and was allegedly involved in the shooting. Ntutuzelo Nene has more.
Maize Jacobs appeared in the Athlone Magistrates Court today facing an attempted murder charge. The prosecution believes that he's one of the gunmen involved in the attack outside the court on December 3rd. His legal representative, Advocate Adrian Samuels, has applied for the analysis of video footage of the shooting captured by CCTV cameras. Samuels is convinced that the results of facial recognition will absolve his client. The case has been postponed to the 20th of February for bail application and a photo recognition. Ndutuzelo Nene, Eyewitness News.
And the UK has revoked a Russian diplomat's accreditation in a tit-for-tat move after Moscow expelled a British envoy last month. A senior official made it clear to the Russian ambassador, who was summoned by the ministry, that the UK will not stand for the intimidation of British embassy staff. The UK government's move comes a month after Russia said it had summoned the UK's chargé d'affaires in Moscow, Gareth Samuel Davies, after receiving information that he belongs to the UK's intelligence service. Russia warned Britain that not to escalate the situation, pledging to deliver a firm response should London retaliate. A look at your weather. Partly cloudy Tuesday in store for Gauteng tomorrow, with afternoon showers expected. Temperatures drop to overnight lows of between 13 and 15, peaking at highs of between 27 and 30 degrees.
Mountain View traffic pressure on the R80 northbound Mabopane Highway from Eskiam Pahlele to the Hairpin Bend. Bryanston, slow-moving traffic on the N1 south from Rivonia Road to Winnie Mandela Drive in Alex. Expect more than a 30-minute delay on the N3 southbound from Morafontein Road to Van Riebeek.
A look at the top story in Eyewitness News this hour. Emergency teams are coming through the site of a wall collapse in Duranfontine near the CBD to determine if anyone is trapped under the rubble.
The Midday Report.
Weekdays,
12 to 1.
The man accused of shooting Warrick Stock, known as DJ Warris, a 25-year-old Mozambican national. Oren Singh. So this is the second person that's been arrested now, Oren.
Second person, Mandy, and they believe that he is the trigger man. Mandy, I'm going to blow your mind a little bit. According to what we understand, 25,000 Rand was paid for the murder of Warrick Stock.
How cheap is life, eh?
Off that money, the shooter allegedly got 7,000 Rand.
Wow, 7,000 Rand.
The Midday Report
with Mandy Wiener.
12 to 1 on 702.
702.
Get your brain in the game, because the brain of 702 is back with your chance to flex your general knowledge smarts. There's 3,000 Rand up for grabs every day, and Brain of the Week wins 10,000 Rand, plus a spot in the finals to compete for the grand prize, 30,000 Rand cash. Enter on primemediaplus.com now. Then catch 702 Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa and 702 Drive with me, John Perlman, for your chance to be the brain of 702. TCs and more on primemediaplus.com.
Let's hear from Al, owner of Johnson's Cable, why it pays to switch to Outsurance Business Insurance.
I thought it was going to be difficult to switch to Outsurance Business Insurance. Switching was so quick and easy. I'm happy with the premium that I'm paying now.
For electrical, tradesman services, and all other businesses, get a quote today and see why it pays to switch to Outsurance Business Insurance. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 08600 60,000 today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
Managing your workforce shouldn't be complicated. That's why businesses choose Onacy, a proudly South African cloud-based payroll and HR solution. From payroll and e-recruitment to performance management and self-service tools, we streamline the way businesses handle their people. Scalable, secure, and always online, our system evolves with your needs because your workforce deserves the best. Switch to Onacy and experience payroll and HR done right. Visit onacy.com today.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hi John, in regards to the chicken being zero rated, I think it's not easy as that because of a couple of things will need to be zero rated as well, like your feed that goes into the chickens, the production of feed, tractors are used which also use fuel, and that forms part of production cost, so meaning that also will have to be zero rated. And what about the packaging, the plastics we use to package chickens, meaning they will also be zero rated. And what about the whole supply chain that involves transportation? Like, it wouldn't be that simple without affecting a lot of things in the process.
Hi John, I would rather have a celebration of the armed forces on an annual basis rather than paying 4 police ministers who do absolutely zilch.
Afternoon, John. I did see some convoy from on the, I think they're coming from Northwest. It was a huge convoy of SANDF, and they were just blocking the intersections for them to pass, be it your stop sign or your robots. So it was quite huge. I think it came from Northwest. It was heading down to Joburg or Albertine on the N12 side.
Yeah, thanks for those. So, I mean, on the zero rating, that you'd have to zero rate all the other things like fuel and feed and so on. I mean, there are foodstuffs and things that are zero rated for VAT, and that hasn't triggered a need or a demand to zero rate input costs in there. I mean, if you zero rated certain pieces and portions of chicken meat, then that's exactly what that would be. That food stuff would be cheaper by the amount of VAT that is currently being paid on it. So there's that. I'd rather have 372 million Rand spent on National Defence Force Day than on paying for police ministers. I mean, why is it a choice? I don't understand that kind of relativism and saying, well, this is bad, but this is worse. I would rather say, is this good enough? And if it's not good enough, then either you don't do it or you do it differently. So if there's a problem with having underperforming police ministers, I didn't know we have 4. I thought we had 1 + 1 on suspension. That's 2 and 2 deputy ministers. So maybe that's where you get the number 4. But if they are not working or the system is not working, then fix that. But I've never been particularly comforted or encouraged by an argument that says, well, this is bad, but that thing is worse. So by implication, well, let's have both until we can have neither. Fix stuff. That should be our mindset. 17 minutes to 5.
EWN Sport.
Right, let's pick up on what's happening in the world of sport. Lots being said about football, and of course we had some fabulous tennis over the weekend. Tola Kele is taking a look at all of it and some more.
Thanks so much, John. And Pep Guardiola insists he won't be giving up on winning the Premier League despite Manchester City surrendering a 2-goal lead as they drew with Tottenham Hotspur. It's the first time City held a lead by 2 or more goals at halftime in a game and failed to win since April 2018. They're now 6 points adrift of leaders Arsenal.
So you are saying me that we get rid of Premier League with 14 games to play. We had the injuries, so in the moment, 1 month ago we have a lot, so with 9-10 players out, so we know that. But at the same time, we are there and continue. I know the calendar is what it is, and now we have a semi-final to reach a final next Wednesday, and after Anfield, and continue. This is what they have to do.
Miguel Cardoso says there's little room for error for Mamelodi Sundowns with the CAF Champions League knockout hopes hanging in the balance. They suffered a 2-1 defeat away to Al Hilal, which dropped them to second in their group. They now face must-win games against Rulani Mokwena's MC Alger, as well as St. Elo Lupopo, who eliminated Orlando Pirates in the preliminary rounds.
It will be a tough match, but tough moments for tough people. We need to raise that attitude, get the proper energy, stay together and look forward. I think the lesson from these last 2 games is unfortunately the number of goals that we could not score and the easy goals that we suffered. And when you suffer such easy goals, you cannot suffer in 2 matches. 4 goals, it's not normal. So that's also an analysis that we need to do, of course, and how to avoid this kind of exposure.
Belinda Benic and Elena Svitolina have made history by becoming the first mothers to be simultaneously ranked inside the WTA's top 10. Elena Rybakina has moved up to 3rd following her Australian Open triumph over Arina Sabalenka. She's now looking to keep her strong start to the year going, having also beaten Iga Swiatek on her way to success in Melbourne.
They're tough opponents and they have great results, and for so long they are at the top and stable. So I'm happy that now I'm getting back to this level, and hopefully I can be stable again throughout the whole season, keep on showing great tennis, good results.
And head coach Philip Snyman was left frustrated and disappointed after the Blitzboks finished 4th at the Singapore Sevens. South Africa lost to France in the semi-finals and then New Zealand in the playoff for 3rd place. And after 4 rounds of events, they dropped from top to 3rd on the overall log.
The youngsters that got a tournament under the belt, that played against Fiji, that played against New Zealand, that played against France, and also the effort and attitude. I think there was a lot of effort and attitude, but unfortunately you need to be clever in this game also. And if you can't execute and give ball position away the whole time, you can't play this game without ball in hand. So I think our decision making was extremely poor and we didn't execute at all.
Tola Gelimganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
14 minutes now to 5 o'clock. EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out 45142 now, and you could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Karabo Chali, people who are in Mountain View are getting to look at the mountain much more than they perhaps would like to.
Yeah, some sightseeing there, John. I could say there's traffic pressure in Mountain View on the R18 northbound Mabopane Highway. That's heading towards Soshanguve between Eskia and Pahlele, the Hairpin Bend. Also in Mayville, expect some delays on Mansfield Road between Francina Street and Lavender. Also bumper-to-bumper traffic in the Bryanston area heading towards Four Ways. N1 southbound between Rivonia Road and Winnie Mandela Drive. Alex, expect more than a 30-minute delay. N3 southbound from Marlborough Drive to Van Buren, while in Roodepoort traffic is sluggish. This is on Duranfontine Road between Corlett and Adcock. Edenvale, bumper-to-bumper traffic on the R24 westbound from Edenvale Road to the Kilulis interchange, and in Klippoki, Boksburg, traffic remains sluggish on Heidelberg Road approaching North Boundary Road. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. The Outsurance pointsmen know that every car on the road carries a story. There's a car with a family driving to their new home, carrying boxes stacked with plates and toys and memories. The Outsurance pointsmen know it's not just a car in traffic, it's a new beginning, a fresh start on the move. Every story's different and every story matters. That's why the Outsurance pointsmen have been doing what they do since 2005 in proud partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
Driving the conversation on 702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman. Powered by Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
So whenever we talk about health, or often when we talk about health here, it's usually about lifestyle diseases, worrying numbers coming out of surveys of health conditions, prices of medicine, problems in the public health service. I wanted to talk about health this today and then get your view on it in a much, much more celebratory way. And this is exactly what I mean by it. So on Sunday, I went cycling in the Emmarentia Dam area. And I've noticed this before, but it was really kind of on steroids on Sunday. There was a fun run stroke walk. So there were hundreds of people doing that. There were people like me cycling, and I cycled all the way through Delta Park and encountered cyclists and walkers. And going through the Emmarentia Dam Park, there were people either, I don't know if they're doing yoga or Tai Chi or whatever. I didn't stop. But the impression I got, and I've had it many, many times, is that South Africans, many of them in their tens of thousands, their commitment to being healthier through their exercise-based lifestyles are, I think, doing a really remarkable job. And I'm sure it's saving the country money. So I just wanted to, pay tribute to that and acknowledge it, and also ask you, in your exercise environment community, send me a message and describe it for me. It might be the gym you go to. It might be a little running club that you've created for yourself, a running pod. It might be a running club. It might be a football team. But I thought at the end of a weekend, after some gorgeous weather, let's just celebrate how many of us actually take the time and trouble to keep fit and stay fit. Tolakele, I don't know if you've got a little one to mention that you want to share quickly.
It's only because I see them 3 times a week and they're my favorite girlies. I do Pilates.
Yes.
Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And my favorite thing about Pilates is it's women of all age groups. There's one lady who's actually a recent pensioner, and we always call her our special case because obviously she doesn't go as hard as us, but she keeps up with us, and we love her for that. She shows up even when it's hard, and she's like, just to see us doing well inspires her to join us every Wednesday.
Okay, 702 Drive. Let's hear about your exercise community. It's 10 to 5.
This year is the year. I'll be catching flights and not feelings. Serving looks Monday to Sunday. 5 a.m. club. Small things. I'll be awake before a Hadida can even say, this year things are gonna change.
Okay, so what would you like to order then?
Just hit me with the usual. Kota chicken, single chips, and a roll.
Oh, the more things change, the more they stay the same. Get the Nando's flame grilled quarter chicken, single chips, and roll for only 82 Rand. Nando's. Oh, what a place.
The festive rush doesn't wait. Orders, deliveries, messages, calls. This summer, you'll need connectivity that doesn't tap out when the pressure is on. With Telkom Business, you get reliable, high-speed connectivity for just $2.99 per month. That's our unlimited LTE, all hours basic plan, 10 megabytes per second. No caps, no excuses.
This summer, your business deserves the best. Visit telkom.co.za/business for deals that grow your business. T's and C's apply. Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
Do you suffer from heartburn and hyperacidity? To relieve heartburn for the whole day and night with one tablet, a potent once-a-day treatment which was previously prescription only is now available over the counter. Ask your pharmacist for an over-the-counter, long-lasting heartburn treatment. Brought to you by Sandoz.
When the brightest brains collide in the biggest general knowledge quiz in Gauteng, it's time for the Brain of 702.
It's time to put your brilliance on display in the Brain of 702. Prove your mental might for your chance to win a share of 130,000 Rand in cash. And of course, there's the highly coveted title of the Brain of 702. You could win 1,500 Rand in this round and another 1,500 Rand if you win tomorrow on Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa. The Brain of 702. Your brain, our stage. Are you ready to step into the spotlight? The winner of this round, as I said, gets 1,500 Rand and will be crowned the Brain of the Day and go on to play again tomorrow and possibly through the rest of the week, where on Friday afternoon, a chance to win 10,000 Rand as the weekly Brain of 702. Ultimately, you could go on to win a further 30,000 Rand should you be declared the Brain of 702. To be part of the action, register on primemediaplus.com and we could call to put you through our qualifier. Let's meet our contestants. First of all, we say good afternoon to Ashley Laurent, who joins us from Rivonia and was a winner after a tiebreaker with Bongani Bingwa this morning. Ashley, good afternoon and good luck for this round.
Good afternoon, John. Thanks very much.
From the north of Gauteng, Ga-Rankuwa is the home of Tsepo Lilaka, playing for the first time in 2026 Brain. Tsepo, welcome to you as well. and the best of luck to you too.
Thank you.
Now, the rules, you both have 60 seconds to answer 15 questions. The contestant who gets the most answers correct is the winner. If scores are equal, we will play sudden death. One other thing, if you're asked to spell a word and you pass, I will spell the word anyway. So it's a good idea to spell it because you won't save any time by saying pass. Otherwise, not much else. I think we could get started. Yep, I'm getting nods all round. We have people counting score. We have Karabo Malapile who's keeping an eye on the time. Let's go. Ashley Laurent, your time starts now.
3, 2, 1.
Spell the word foreign.
Foreign.
Correct. What is the name of Elvis Presley's home in Memphis?
Graceland.
Correct. True or false? The star sign Aries is represented by a goat.
True.
False. Which country borders the Black Sea, Bulgaria or Hungary?
Bulgaria.
Correct. Does the word valiant mean ashamed or heroic?
Heroic.
Correct. Who won the Women's Rugby World Cup in 2025? England or Australia?
England.
Correct. On which continent is the world's southernmost point?
On Argentina, South America.
Antarctica. How many eyes are there in the word hysterical?
1.
Correct. In which sport is the term caddy used?
Golf.
Correct. True or false? South Africa's deputy president is Paul Mashatile.
True.
Correct. Which is bigger, 1/5 or 22%?
22%.
Yeah, you just sneaked in there by 2%. Well done. Aries, by the way, is represented by the ram or the sheep. So let's see what our judges are saying. Ashley Laurent, you got yourself 9 in that round. A score of 9, so now you know what you need to do. Tsepo Lilaka, if you're ready, and I'm sure you are.
Ready.
Your time starts now.
3, 2, 1.
Spell the word intrigue.
Pass.
Intrigue. What was the name of Michael Jackson's ranch in California?
Pass.
Neverland. True or false? The star sign Taurus is represented by a bull.
True.
Correct. Which country borders the Caspian Sea? Syria or Iran?
Iran.
Correct. Does the word illustrious mean distinguished or obscure?
Distinguished.
Correct. Who won the Women's Cricket World Cup in 2025? New Zealand or India?
New Zealand.
India. On which continent is the world's highest point?
In Asia.
Correct. How many eyes are there in the word independent?
2.
1. In which sport is the term jockey used?
Horse racing.
Correct. True or false? South Africa's Chief Justice is Mandisa Maya.
True.
Correct. Okay, you put up a really, really good show there, Tsepo, but 6 is what you scored, which means congratulations, Ashley Laurent. You are our reigning brain and the brain of the day. You have won 1,500 Rand thanks to 702. You will play again with Bongani Bingwa tomorrow, and if you're still standing after that round, you will be the brain of the day and continue the battle for brilliance. Now, for a chance to prove your mental might and to win your share of 130,000 Rand, visit primemediaplus.com to register. You could become the brain of 702 and walk away with the ultimate general knowledge prize. Okay, that was an excellent round. Some pretty good questions there. How many did you get right? I always like listening to the sounds of people's brains going. Obviously, I can't really hear your brains going, but I know before I came to 702, I would be listening to Brain in the car if I happened to have the radio on 702 jumping around between different stations. And if it was Brain, I would be mentally counting and saying to myself, yep, okay, got that one right. Yep, okay, got that one right, and so on. It's fun. Give us a call on 011 883 0702 and 072 702 1702. I was talking a little bit earlier about how much I really, really enjoyed seeing, just getting a sense, and as I say, not for the first time, of how many people are out there just enjoying themselves and exercising and keeping fit. And by the way, keeping in business, I would have thought a massive industry in the manufacture, sale and marketing of sports-related goods, be it bicycles or shoes or running shoes or little energy things that you pop out and chew off the top and try and give yourself some kind of boost. So I was just asking you, your exercise ecosystem, mine is really focused around running because I do gym, but I do it from home. So maybe it's a gym, maybe it's something else. Paulina says, I belong to a running club called Ikaya, and it really stands up to its name because everyone feels welcome and at home. That sounds brilliant. Haven't run for ages. Me switched to cycling years ago, but maybe you've got a story that you want to share. Still to come on 702 Drive after 5 o'clock. There's a couple of things that we're going to be looking at. There was a conversation that we had, I think, a little while back about the failure of the city of Tshwane and others to blacklist the businessman Edwin Sodi. This after serious problems with the work he was meant to have done in improving water and sanitation systems out in the Hammanskraal area. You may recall the Sunday Times revealing that they said they couldn't serve the relevant papers on him because they could not find his address. Yeah, it was that bad. Anyway, it looks like there's a more earnest attempt to actually do what arguably should have been done ages ago. But even if the blacklist goes through, does it have an impact? How does it work? What is to stop people creating shells and shelf companies and creating intricate ways of remaining in business without their name being on the check? We'll talk about that to business and politics analyst Kaya Sitole. That's coming up at 12 minutes past 5. It's 5 o'clock.
This is EWN.
Karim heads to court to block Madlanga appearance, and emergency teams remain on site after Duranfontine building collapse. Good afternoon, I'm Puleng Make. Controversial Northwest businessman Salman Karim has approached the Pretoria High Court on an urgent basis to interdict his appearance before the Madlanga Commission. Karim was mentioned in KZN Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi's July 6th briefing as a businessman who has been meddling with police affairs. In a testimony heard at the commission, Karim used his political links to influence and ensure alleged crime boss Vusimuzi Matlala receives payments from the police regarding his 360 million rand tender. Has more.
Northwest businessman Suleiman Karim is approaching the Johannesburg High Court to interdict his appearance before the Madlanga Commission as he seeks to challenge how he's been categorized in the commission. Karim believes the commission cannot refer to him as an implicated person, and he wants that to be reviewed and set aside. This is despite Karim being implicated in General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi testimony, who claims alleged crime boss Vusimuzi Matlala communicated with him in attempts to destabilize police investigations. Karim will argue in the Johannesburg High Court tomorrow. Eyewitness News.
Almost 12 hours after a wall collapse at a student housing building in Duranfontine, emergency teams are still on site to give the owners the all clear. Parts of the building collapsed earlier today after a transformer caught fire and exploded in a small utility room at the front of the structure near the Joburg CBD. 4 people were injured and taken to hospital for burn wounds. Nokanya Mtambo reports.
Joburg Emergency Services is on standby waiting for technical teams to assess the damage before bringing in equipment to sift through the rubble. It initially looked like a simple exercise, but experts say they want to be sure there's no one under the rubble, that there's no possible gas leak and no further structural damage to the building. The DA Joburg mayoral candidate Helen Ziller was also here earlier on for an assessment of her own. This is what she had to say.
I'm deeply concerned about it. And I've just heard, but again, I haven't confirmed this. It's not the first time that there's been overheating at this transformer.
As far as we know, the safety teams on site will then decide if it's safe for students to stay overnight or if other provisions must be made. Nogukanya Mdambo, Eyewitness News in Duranfontine.
Embattled KZN Hawks boss Lesecha Sinona has declined to meet with the unit's acting head, Lieutenant General Sipesi Hlenkosi. EWN understands that the reasons provided by Sinona may relate to aspects around his safety. This comes after it emerged yesterday that Sinona had gone into missing, fearing for his life after testifying before the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry last week. On Saturday, Sinona was ordered to leave his office at the KZN police headquarters in Durban after allegedly breaching protocol. Oren Singh has more.
On Saturday, embattled KZN Hawks boss Lesetja Sinona allegedly didn't sign the register to enter KZN police headquarters and also attempted to leave with his state laptop and certain documents before being instructed to leave everything behind. KZN police alluded to the possible risk of the leakage or destruction of information, given that Sinona is one of 5 senior-ranking police officers who are the subject of an ongoing investigation after being named in the Madlanga Commission 3-month interim report. EWN understands Sinona was meant to continue with a disciplinary hearing into the Ishmael Nangi matter at the head office in Pretoria this week. Nangi, an alleged Mozambican kidnapping kingpin, was arrested by members of Sinona's team in late 2024, but surprisingly, the charges against Nangi, accused of kidnapping a KZN businessman at the time, never stuck. Oren Singh, Eyewitness News.
The Correctional Services Department says the decision to transfer attempted murder accused Vusimuzi Kat Matlala to a super maximum prison in KwaZulu-Natal was partly taken in the interest of his safety. Matlala was recently moved from Kgoshi-Mampuru Correctional Center in Pretoria to the Ebongweni Super Maximum Correctional Facility in Kokstad. The department says the transfer follows a risk and threat assessment conducted on the attempted murder accused. Convicted rapist and murderer Thabo Bester was also recently transferred to the same facility under similar circumstances. Alfara Mushwana reports from Pretoria.
The Department of Correctional Services has remained tight-lipped about the exact circumstances that led to the transfers of Thabo Bester and Vusimuzi Kat Matlala from Kgoshi-Mampuru to the Ebongweni Super Maximum Correctional Facility. Officials continue to cite risk and threat assessments conducted on both inmates, but have refused to disclose the details to the media. Correctional Services Commissioner Samuel Tobachale says the transfers of Matlala and convicted rapist and murderer Thabo Bester were necessary.
We are ensuring that he is safe. We are ensuring that other offenders who would be in the same correctional facility are safe. We are ensuring that our officials are safe. But most importantly, we are ensuring that on the day that he's supposed to present himself before the courts.
With Matlala's court matter sitting in Johannesburg, Tobachale says he doesn't anticipate any disruptions during the guarded transporting of Matlala from the KZN prison to the Gauteng High Court. Alfa Ramshwana, Eyewitness News, Pretoria.
Gold is trading at $4,718.89 an ounce. The rand is at 16.05 to the dollar, 21.90 to the pound, 18.96 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $69.32 a barrel.
In Mayville, Pretoria North, expect more than a 30-minute delay. This is on Mansfield Road between Francina and Lavender. There's also bumper-to-bumper traffic in Mountain View. This is on the R18 northbound Mabopane Highway between Eskia Mphahlele and the Hairpin Bend in Menlyn. Expect about a 20-minute delay. N1 South from Linwood Road to Rigel Avenue.
In your sport, Adeslam Modu not surprised that Rila Mofokeng is flourishing as a number 10. Novak Djokovic confident he can win a 25th Grand Slam. And Philip Sneeman looks ahead to the Perth Sevens.
A look at your weather. Partly cloudy Tuesday in store for Gauteng tomorrow with afternoon thunder showers expected. Johannesburg drops to overnight lows of 13, peaking at highs of 27. Pretoria 15 and 30. Vereeniging 14, also reaching highs of 30 degrees with a partly cloudy Cape Town, along with fresh southeasterly winds at a low of 20, peaking at 29 degrees. The top story in Eyewitness News this hour: controversial Northwest businessman Salman Karim has approached the Pretoria High Court on urgent basis to interdict an appearance before the Madlanga Commission.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
7:02.
Drive home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
on 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
7:02 Drive, it's 8 minutes past 5. Good to have you with us. Absolutely gorgeous day in Johannesburg, certainly in the parts of Joburg that I've either been in or where I am now. I know there were severe thunderstorms expected for Gauteng. The one interesting thing, though, about Joburg is I find that I might chat to somebody who literally lives a couple of kilometers away and they say, oh, bucketing down and there's not much happening where I am. So I guess that's where we get isolated thunder showers from. But we'll keep you updated on the traffic. Hopefully no rain while you are making your way home. Coming up on the show, we're going to take a closer look at what it actually means when the state actually eventually does get round to blacklisting someone from doing business with them. Does it really put them out of business with state opportunities, tenders, contracts, and so on? Or are there still lots and lots of loopholes that can be exploited? It is quite extraordinary, by the way, the gymnastics and acrobatics that different government departments go through to give tenders and contracts to people who have no competence to deliver even at the massively inflated prices that they offer. I mean, there are examples of this every single day, but maybe this treasury process does work. It would be nice if it did, because we're shipping lots of cash when we have ever-growing needs with problems that get ever deeper. And at a certain point, by the way, money doesn't fix those problems either. Certainly not in the amount that you thought it did. So we'll be talking to Kai Satole. He is an analyst of this. And then we're going to chat to ballistic expert Stan Bezuidenhout. Some really quite extraordinary testimony at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry today about attempts to tamper with ballistic reports. Can that be done? Is that an easy thing to do? I know that there was evidence led of someone being under extreme duress, taken back to their offices late on a Sunday night and into the wee hours of a Monday to try and get them to change a ballistics report. But I'm wondering, is there nothing in the system that's tamper-proof? There probably ought to be, given the way these things seem to be happening in the Madlanga Commission, at least. We're hearing some pretty chilling stuff about interfering in police processes. Some conversation about this idea of making chicken VAT-free. Here's something from Brian, and I'll read it and then I'll tell you what it is I do not understand. John, I'm a poultry farmer. I deal with all sorts of suppliers every day. For me not to charge VAT, I will also need my suppliers to be VAT-free. So my first editorial point is, why? The VAT that you charge is not money that you keep. That's money you pay over to the states. So what you pay your supplier is not, if you're VAT-free, it's not coming off your profits or your opportunity costs. Why would it need to be VAT-free? I don't understand. Is there a part that I'm missing? I'll go on. Brian says, there aren't any products that you can make VAT-free because they are produced together as a whole chicken. My pricing of chicken products depends on my input costs. If that isn't addressed, now I'm getting the point. There isn't any way I can remove VAT from my items. As a result, even your retailer will not remove it. Thank you. Now I get it, because you're saying if only parts of the chicken and you are working in whole chicken are VAT-free, then this all gets way more complicated. Okay, Brian, I'm not as confused as I was. Maybe I should read everything that confuses me out loud. I still do think this is implementable, but that's me, having never raised or sold a chicken in my life. 12 minutes past 5, if you can help or have some light to shed, give us a call on 0727021702. 12 past 5, let's get the very latest traffic news.
EWN Traffic.
EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now, and you could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Karabo Charlie Mayville is not... It's such a happy name, Mayville. Spring. Oh, well, not spring, but you know what I mean. The buds of May and all of that. But Mayville, it's jammed.
Yeah, no, it's pretty jammed. This is north of Pretoria. Expect about a 30-minute delay on Mansfield Road between Francina Street and Lavender, while in Mountain View, Pretoria still. Traffic pressure on the R18 northbound Mabopane Highway from Eskiam Patlela to the Hairpin Bend in Mainland. Expect about a 20-minute delay on the N1 southbound from Linwood Road to Rigel Avenue, while in Bryanston there's slow-moving traffic heading towards four ways on the N1 southbound This is between Rivonia Road and Winnie Mandela Drive. Alex, traveling towards Germiston, you can now expect more than a 30-minute delay on the N3 southbound from Marlborough Drive to Van Buren. In Roodepoort, also expect some delays on Duranfontine Road between Collet and Adcock. In Ekurhuleni, there's a slow-moving traffic. This is bumper-to-bumper traffic in Edenvale on the R24 westbound between Edenvale Road and the Kilulis interchange. There's also slow-moving traffic in Klipoki, Boksburg. This is on Heidelberg Road, approaching North Boundary Road. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Romance is in the air this month, but your partner won't be feeling the love if you're late for date night. Fortunately, the Outsurance Pointsmen are here to ease the traffic congestion so you can get to the restaurant on time. With the Outsurance Pointsmen on the roads for the past 20 years, we can all get where we need to be quickly and safely. With Outsurance, you always get something out. In proud partnership with 702, show them some love online using #PointsmenLove. Licensed insurer and FSP.
Stay with 702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman. Brought to you by Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Right, let's look at this. So Edwin Sodi is a businessman, an entrepreneur who has been caught up in quite a number of controversies around government spending. One of them, and perhaps the one very much at the center of this particular conversation, is the work he was supposed to do but didn't do to any kind of standard that could be declared as acceptable when he was involved in fixing up water and sanitation facilities and equipment out in Hammanskraal. The city of Tshwane had spoken a great deal about getting him blacklisted by Treasury. This took ages and ages. It seems there is an urgent bid to get this done. But even if they succeed and find out where he lives, which is what was holding up the previous process, amongst a few other things, would this actually be effective? How effective is the Treasury blacklist? It sounds like a good idea, but does it work? Kaya Sithole is an independent analyst with a keen eye on politics, economics, and the interface between the two. Kaya Sithole, very good afternoon to you. In addition, you are skilled in auditing matters. What do you know about the Treasury blacklist and whether it's actually a success? My sense is you can create a whole string of companies and once, twice, 3, 4 times remove, but eventually the money comes back to you. Am I too pessimistic?
Not really. Good afternoon, and good afternoon to the listeners. So there's one fundamental problem with the Treasury blacklist is that everyone absolutely knows that it's completely incomplete in the sense that there are many companies that have, over many instances of procurement decisions, been found to be breaching or flouting some aspect of the law or the other. But the process of then escalating each company and making sure that it appears on the database is quite simply completely arbitrary. Some institutions will do it, others will simply say, let's move on and do other things. So we've got an incomplete database. Even when we do have the database, unfortunately, it doesn't actually achieve its ultimate outcome of ensuring that a person who was the mastermind of some particular activity that led to a blacklisting is ultimately fully blacklisted. And the simple answer is because a person can indeed set up multiple companies and a person doesn't have to actually have their name reflected in the companies that they're associated with, you can simply get away with opening new entities, and unless somebody checks that database and then somebody cross-references that database to your many companies, you can actually just carry on doing business. So we are unfortunately dealing with a completely paralyzed and incomplete process.
Is part of the problem that so many deals in the public sector where public money is guaranteed by way of contracts and tenders are done in bad faith, where there is no particular desire in the concluding of a contract to actually get the best person at the best price to do the best job, but to actually rather contrive a set of arrangements where there is benefit paid for things that have nothing to do with the public good. I mean, does that complicate it that at source the stuff is not being monitored closely either?
It's a combination of malfeasance and institutional incapacity. So yes, there have indeed been bid evaluation committees that have been manipulated and influenced, and so they specifically set out to ensure that a particular company gets the deal regardless of whether they offer the best value for service. However, there are also instances where even the best intentions of a bid adjudication committee is hampered by its inability to actually interrogate every single supplier that tenders and ensure that none of these suppliers have got entanglements elsewhere. And of course, that company or that individual may have done something wrong in a particular entity yesterday, and unless that is disclosed and unless that is elevated onto something like this database, those that are adjudicating this company today know no better. So they can indeed proceed to appoint the company, and they may discover later on, or in some instances, they may never know that this was a company that did something wrong somewhere else, because you can change directors, you can change those that are managing the entity and those are executing on the project. So again, it's a completely complicated and very difficult process.
If this process doesn't work, what would?
I think what might work, even with this particular process, is that whenever this database is updated, as it occasionally tends to be, then the individual associated with those companies and those directors, it becomes widely distributed across all procurement stakeholders. Now, the number of procurement stakeholders that you have within a department, within a municipality, or within any other government structure is multiple. So whether that is even possible, it's just not very clear.
Thanks so much. Kaya Sitole, independent analyst. Some thoughts on the blacklisting system in Treasury. Obviously, there has been a clamour to get the businessman Edwin Sodi blacklisted. But if that were to be achieved after what appeared to me at least to be inexplicable and absolutely inexcusable delays in actually getting this process over the line, would it actually achieve its purpose? Maybe you've had direct experience of this. Maybe you've tried to get somebody blacklisted who you believe has done the public wrong and possibly done people in private sector players wrong as well. If so, have you seen it work? Give us a call on that. 011 883 0702 072 7021 702 20 past 5.
Drive home with John Perlman
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
Now, at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry today, police ballistics expert Captain Lawrence Magotlwe was giving evidence on all sorts of things. He was, it should be said, subject to very, very close questioning indeed by one of the commissioners, Sandile Kumalo, who raised questions about the quality of the ballistics report that he put together. But there's another aspect that I want to focus on, because the captain told the inquiry about how he was put under severe pressure by a group of heavily armed police officers, and he confirmed that he had established that these people were part of the police, but it wasn't clear why they were asking him on a Sunday night to go to the Forensic Services Laboratory, boot up his laptop, print out for them copies of his ballistics report, which connected the murder of an engineer Armand Swart in Vereniging to another murder committed in Bramley. All of this happening in the dead of night, this return to the laboratory services officers. And the question that came to mind for me is, are these places not secured? But crucially, is the data ever locked in some way? In other words, if you produce a report and you say this is your final report, is there a trail and a track that would indicate whether this has been changed in some way that has a malevolent purpose? Stan Bezuidenhout is a forensic specialist and court expert witness. He joins us from IBF Investigations. Mr. Bezuidenhout, welcome. And thanks very much for giving us your time. How secure is our forensic and ballistic system? Is this a system that allows more than it should for tampering with evidence and reports, or is it generally fairly secure? Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, John, and good afternoon to your listeners. So for starters, we must understand that the police ballistic, let's call it environment, the ballistic analysis environment, is actually well controlled. The problem is that it's well controlled by the people that are there operating under the presumption that they will be in charge, in control, and in command all the time. And what happens is, in a case like this, where a senior officer is held hostage, for the lack of a better term, forced to take actions, there should be systems, mechanisms, processes, and procedures in place to protect even him, despite himself.
Yeah, it's a worrying thing because I mean, I don't know if you create a really good system, it might create an illusion of probity and integrity. But if you've got, as you say, people who are, wolves guarding the hen house, then, maybe the what's the word? The integrity of the system actually becomes a weakness.
Yes, exactly. So with any kind of physical evidence, and specifically ballistic evidence, because it's so easily described in a forensic chain of custody process, it all starts at the scene. And typically, the scene investigator should not even be the specialist, and the specialist should not be the analyst, and the analyst should not be the reporter. So that what happens is, if you have multiple, let's call it custodians, and each custodian can only control one element of the chain of custody, then the chances that you can coerce everybody at the same time is substantially harder than if you could take just one person and control them. And then also, it's a matter of how the work is done and the sequence in which it is done. It's highly concerning to me that you can take somebody to a particular laptop and force them on that laptop as an individual to make changes to a report. If that report was properly filed in the appropriate places, properly protected digitally and forensically, then if any changes are made, they will be detectable, and there will be a parity failure between the documents that appear at court and the documents that were originally generated. Why this is not possible and why it's not happening still puzzles me to this day.
Because from what you're describing, this is a set of protocols. It may require some changes to software, but it certainly doesn't sound complicated. I want to ask you this, Mr. Bezuidenhout. I mean, when let's say a ballistics report, let's stay with what was the subject or the area of forensics that was before Madlanga today. Is there a point at which a report is deemed to be final? And is there then a set of protocols that say you cannot change a final report unless A, B, C, and D are actually proved or brought into play?
So there are three challenges for that. The first is, in order to protect the original report, it's normally a digital file. It comes in the form of a PDF or Word document or whatever. There's something, a technology or a system called hashing. That's where you assign a very complicated encoded computer digital signature to a document.
Right.
That complicated digital signature verifies its originality. So if I sent you a copy via email, and both your copy and mine got to court, we can both put it through the system. It's actually a simple system, and it will produce those so-called hash values. And if they don't match, we know that something's wrong. So if the hash values are intact, any changes shouldn't make a difference. The second component is, unfortunately, in South Africa, most of our courts still work on paper documents.
Right.
And of course, paper documents can be manipulated, edited, changed. And then to add insult to injury, I've personally experienced police officers coming to court and making mistakes in their reports, such as in this one, and then putting it down to a so-called clerical error. Now, it's possible that human beings can make mistakes. It's absolutely possible. But if you have the proper mechanisms and protocols in place, those mistakes should be, let's call it, pre-vetted before you go to court. And that's why when you write a report, you typically release a report and say, this is a first draft report. Please review it and make sure that there are no typing errors. Because if I made typing errors and I change them, my hash values are going to change. And the same with photographs and ballistic evidence and any digital file recordings that you have, whether it's microscopic, analytical, reporting documents, or anything. And that's how you're supposed to ensure integrity. Unfortunately, in South Africa, few expert witnesses are actually taken to that level of scrutiny, because we accept that anybody in a uniform is most one of us. So we trust policemen. They're typically good people, and they don't ever do something wrong. But what if they never intended, but they were held hostage or at gunpoint, such as the allegations are in this case?
Thank you so much. Stan Bezuidenhout, he's a forensic specialist and a court expert witness. He joined us from IBF Investigations. Look, it's an area I know very little about, but from what he's saying, there is the technology, there's best practice, and there are systems that could make this whole thing way tighter, not just in regard to this particular matter, but how many court cases run into trouble around forensics. I would think there's a good number and solutions don't appear to be particularly elusive. The question is getting it done. 28 minutes past 5.
EWN Business.
Stephen Curtis joins me, not quite yet needing a neck brace from all the whiplash, but it's getting close. I wonder if you maybe ought to just do some stretching.
Just check, get it ready for...
Before you come in. A pretty wild day.
Indeed, John, good afternoon. The story started really with gold sort of plunging through the floor, except the floor is so much higher than the ceiling used to be. So gold going from $5,500 last week to just over 4,600. Silver also falling dramatically. That sent mining shares on the JSE into a tailspin. I have to say, though, John, it's been a day of recovery. Gold is back past $4,700. Bear in mind the fundamentals, the reason as to why gold got so high, are all still there. So we're talking about central bank buying, geopolitical risk, etc. All of those things are still there. And I think what we're seeing is just a little bit of sort of everyone taking a breath after the volatility. In the end, the JSE All Share ending the day down 0.95% at 118,903 points. Financials up 1.88%, industrials up 0.75%, and resources down strongly, down 5.36%, but kind of not where we were this morning. Sibanye are down nearly 9%, Implats down 8.5%, Valterra down nearly 8%, Northam down 7.76%, Harmony down nearly 7%, Goldfields down 6%. You kind of get the drift. If you're in gold and platinum mining, you had a very bad day. ASP Isotopes also down nearly 11% on the day. Sanlam up 3.36%. We're due to speak to the 91 CEO, Hendrik du Toit, on the Money Show tonight, John. 91 has signed that agreement. The deal is now finally through with Sanlam. As a result, there's a lot to it. It's a 15-year deal, but as a result, 91 will be managing another 400 billion rands worth of assets. So they'll have a lot more money to play with, which will be quite interesting. I'll slip in a question, too, about what he thinks the president should announce next week during his State of the Nation. Exara's up 2.76%. Bidcor's up over 2.5%. Standard Bank having a nice day, up 2.58%. Pepkor up 2.5% on the day. They said today their group revenue for the 3 months to the end of December was up nearly 13%. Like-for-like sales were up 3%. And ShopRite, their sales were up 7.2% in the 6 months to the end of December. They were able to keep in-store inflation to just 0.7% over the 6 months. And then, John, I'll talk more about this on the Money Show, but their liquor stores are up. So the ShopRite branded liquor stores are up by 10%, and the Checkers ones are up by nearly 13%. I mean, where's all this booze going? Who's drinking it? Can't all be me. Anyway, but yeah.
You're having a good crack, though, in the national interest, I would think.
It's going somewhere, I tell you that. The US markets opened down at the open. They've recovered now, and things do seem to be turning. The Dow Jones is up 0.61. The Nasdaq is up 0.45. The S&P 500 is up 0.41 at the moment. So things are turning there. The gold price now, $4,731.60. Platinum, $2,129.30. Brent crude, $66.43. The rand to the dollar, 16.08 to the euro, 18.98 to the British pound, 21.95. On the Money Show, we'll talk to the CEO of 91. We will talk about the PMI, which was out today. The Financial Intelligence Centres looks likely to get a lot more powers to kind of know exactly what John Perlman is doing with his money or what I'm doing with my money. Mine will be incredibly boring. I can't speak for you, John. Also, we'll be speaking to an expert on loyalty programs on how I make my money, Angela Kromhout. If you ever wondered why you go into some stores and you feel like you belong and you go into others and you don't, she's the person who makes that happen. I find that very interesting. Stephen Curtis, EWN Business.
A rich mix with some excellent guests lined up. The Money Show between 6 and 8. It's 28 minutes now to 6 o'clock. Eyewitness News is brought to you by Momentum. Financial advisors help you have a better shot at generational wealth. Speak to a Momentum accredited financial advisor. Momentum is part of Momentum Group Limited, an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. Pulling Marke with the very latest news. Good afternoon.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. Joburg officials have revised what was initially believed to be the cause of a wall collapse at a student building in Duranfontine near the Joburg CBD. Earlier, it was believed a transformer in a small utility building caught fire and exploded, injuring 4 people. But city officials have now confirmed that the transformer is still intact. Public Safety MMC Mgcini Chwaku is on the scene. He says that the undamaged transformer means a gas leak may have caused the explosion instead.
Because at this point in time, we went inside and have a look. Looks as if the transformer is still intact. But we've got the EMS guys and also Department of Labour. They are on the site to assess in terms of what happened. So investigation is actually going on.
Political parties in Parliament are unhappy with the reluctance of National Assembly Speaker Toko Didiza to issue a warrant for 2 witnesses to appear before Parliament's ad hoc committee investigating corruption within the police. Didiza says that she's not been provided with sufficient evidence that the committee has properly considered and addressed the security concern raised by forensic investigator Paul O'Sullivan and alleged police fixer Brown Mokhotsi, who have both refused to come to Parliament in person. Parties, including the ANC, MK and EFF, have tried to pin the blame on Parliament's legal advisor for not sufficiently persuading the Speaker. Lindsay Dentlinger reports.
In a letter to the committee, Speaker Toko Didiza says a court may rule it irrational for the committee not to accept a virtual appearance by investigator Paul O'Sullivan, who is currently in the United Kingdom. The ANC's Kusela Sangoni says the Speaker's response had been disappointing and suggests that she has not received cogent legal advice. The MK party's Sibonelo Nomvalo agreed.
There is no aspect that we overlooked. So it means our legal team failed to persuade or to present the actual facts.
The EFF's Julius Malema went a step further, alleging something more sinister at play.
The reluctance to summon Paul O'Sullivan and Brown Mokhotsi really raises serious suspicions that we're dealing with something bigger than we think we're dealing with here.
The committee has resolved that legal advisors respond to both O'Sullivan and Brian Mokhotzi's security concerns and will again insist on the Speaker to summons them. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
Now, the alleged total amount paid for the assassination of Warrick Stock, aka DJ Warrick, was 25,000 rand. EWN has been reliably informed that the money paid for murder of the 40-year-old media personality was split among 3 people. This morning, a 25-year-old Armindo Pakula appeared in the Joburg Magistrates Court. He was arrested on Friday evening on the East Rand, more than a month after Stock was killed in Joburg's CBD on December 16th. Oren Singh has more.
7,000 rand. That's how much 25-year-old Armindo Pakula was allegedly paid to shoot and kill media personality Warrick Stock, commonly known as DJ Warrick. Sources close to the investigation told EWN that 25,000 rand was initially coughed up for Stock's murder. This money was believed to have been split 3 ways between the alleged shooter, Pakula, his accomplice, who was caught on CCTV footage with Pakula on the day of the murder, and the owner of the firearm, who is yet to be arrested. Stock was shot 5 times in Joburg CBD on December 16th. While police have yet to reveal any details around the paymaster for the hit, they've confirmed that 44-year-old Soweto taxi boss Victor Majola allegedly orchestrated Stock's murder. Majola was arrested 6 days after Stock was killed and was denied bail last month. Oren Singh, Eyewitness News.
A lawyer representing a man linked to a shooting incident outside the Athlone Magistrates Court believes the police arrested the wrong man. Maize Jacobs is accused of being involved in the brazen attack outside the court precinct in December. A man was shot dead while another was left wounded in what police believe to be a gang-related hit. It's the state's case that Jacobs is an alleged gangster and was allegedly involved in the shooting. And Tutuzelo Nene reports.
Maize Jacobs appeared in the Athlone Magistrates Court today facing an attempted murder charge. The prosecution believes that he's one of the gunmen involved in the attack outside the court on December 3rd. His legal representative, Advocate Adrian Samuels, has applied for the analysis of video footage of the shooting captured by CCTV cameras. Samuels is convinced that the results of facial recognition will absolve his client. The case has been postponed to the 20th of February for bail application and a photo recognition. Dutuzelo Nene, Eyewitness News.
A look at your weather. Partly cloudy Tuesday in store for Gauteng tomorrow, with afternoon thunder showers expected. Temperatures drop to overnight lows of between 13 and 15 degrees and peak at highs of between 27 and 30 degrees.
Mayville, you can still expect about a 30-minute delay. That's Pretoria North on Mansfield Road between Frontina Street and Lavender. Mountain View heading towards Soshanguve. Traffic pressure on the R18 northbound Mabopani Highway between Eskia Mphahlele and the Hairpin Bend, and in Menlyn expect about a 30-minute delay on the N1 South from Linwood Road to Rigel Avenue.
The top story in Eyewitness News: Joburg officials have revised what was initially believed to be the cause of a wall collapse at a student building in Duranfontine, near the Joburg CBD.
They say the early bird catches the worm. Great advice, unless you're the worm. Generic so-called wisdom doesn't work for everyone, so I settle for a financial plan that's one size fits some. Momentum accredited financial advisors take the time to get to really know your unique situation. Advice meets your context. Momentum, your journey to success. Momentum is part of Momentum Group Limited, an authorized financial services and registered credit provider.
Africa Milani.
Weekday mornings,
4 to 6.
Today will be the first day for the new National Director of Public Prosecutions, that's Advocate Andy Motibi. What will be his major areas of focus, or what should they be, do you think?
Mobilize sufficiently experienced and competent, well-equipped team, prosecutors, investigators and forensic experts to get one conviction in state capture. It's not too much to ask. He's got to do that. That has got to be the first thing. Before he has his cornflakes this morning, that he has to attend to.
Glynis Brendenbach, the Member of Parliament for the Democratic Alliance.
Africa Milani.
4 to 6 on 702.
Stop and think. Will you survive the AI revolution or thrive? Regenesis students are thriving. 11 cutting-edge schools, 111 countries, world-class team of 1,111 with one mission: awakening your potential. Choose from law, business, technology, AI, health, economics, entrepreneurship, public management, skills academy, and digital Regenesis. Undergraduate, postgraduate, upskilling, customized corporate programs. The question isn't, can you afford to enroll? It's, can you afford not to? Enroll now. Regenesis.net. Achieve your dreams.
Kick off to glory with Hollywood Bets and Asi Shege. Be in the game. Go full speed ahead with the epic competition. You stand to win a share of 4 million rand in cash and prizes, including an all-new Toyota Corolla Cross. Bet 10 rand or more on any soccer fixture or fixtures online or at your nearest branch. Live life in the fast lane. Bet now for your chance to score.
T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp HELP to 076 675 0710.
Switching was so quick and easy. I'm happy with the premium that I'm paying now.
Outsurance Business Insurance clients know that it pays to switch. And did you know you could get a guaranteed premium for 12 months even if you claim? For electrical, tradesman services and all other businesses. Get a quote today and see why it pays to switch to Outsurance Business Insurance. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 08600 60000 today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online. 702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hey, Ntate John. The guy who explained the zero rating of chicken, talking about fuel and all the stuff, he was on the spot. He eloquently explained everything. Yeah, you know, zero rating is not just we say no with zero rating, then we done. It's gonna tap into quite a lot of things, quite a lot. Yeah, so it's not easy, but let's wait and see. Maybe something might come up. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I must admit I'm being schooled here about how tax and zero rating and VAT exempt and all these things work. And at the moment, I'm not even at 30%, but I'm going to keep at it and try and understand it better. I'm sure we'll come back to the topic at some point. 17 minutes to 6. Let's catch up with the very latest now from the world of sport. Tola Kele, good afternoon again.
EWN Sport.
Pirates pushing for at least a say in the destiny of the Betway Premiership. They've got a game coming up.
Absolutely, John, and they'll look to continue their push for the title with a win over Amazulu tomorrow. The Lesotho have won 6 and lost 2 of their last 8 league games, while the Buccaneers are looking to extend their 11-game unbeaten run across all competitions. Adeslam Wadu has also has the added luxury of an informed Rile Mufokeng, who's flourishing as the number 10.
With the qualities that he has, he can as well help us in the middle. It's what he did. I told you that it's somebody who is able to see before receiving the ball in terms of decision making. He's able to take the decision before receiving the ball. And it's modern football. When you have this kind of player in your team, you have to use it well. His capacity to scan, to be aware about how many teammates he has around him, how many opponents he has around him.
2 of the Saudi Arabians' biggest names are having a hard time amid frustration over money. Cristiano Ronaldo has gone on strike ahead of Al Nassr's next game. That's due to the club's lack of transfer activity as he looks to win his first domestic trophy with the club. For Karim Benzema, he's at odds with Al Ittihad after they only offered him a 6-month contract extension while the player is demanding a 1.5-year deal. Switching over to tennis, where Novak Djokovic is confident he can win a 25th Grand Slam title despite falling short at the Australian Open. His 4 sets loss to Carlos Alcaraz saw him suffer his first Melbourne Park final defeat. That's having become the oldest man in history to reach the final. Djokovic last won a major at the US Open back in 2023 and reached the semi-finals at all 4 majors in 2025.
I always believe I can, otherwise I wouldn't be competing. And I said this numerous times. So it's great that I was able to beat, Yannick in 5 and really battle Carlos in 4 close sets and remain disappointed with the way I felt in second and third. And after an incredible start, and I felt great about myself. And then, things changed and it is what it is. That's sport.
And Philip Snyman is looking for an immediate response from the Blitz box when the HSBC 7 Series makes a stop in Perth this weekend. They finished 4th in Singapore, having lost to New Zealand in the playoff for the 3rd place. And after 4 rounds of events, they dropped from top to 3rd on the overall standings.
Tackle completion, and we want to be up there, and I don't think we're on par on tackle completion. Discipline is the other thing that we measure ourselves on, and you can't play against Fiji with 5 guys on the field. And then turnover differential, if you have the ball for 10 seconds and just give the ball away. So for me, that's the 3 things that really stand out that we need to work on. So we look at ourselves, so we have things in place to measure ourselves, and if it wasn't up to scratch, it's a work on for us this weekend.
Tolagele Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
Just a quick thought on that Australian Open final, the men's. The women's final was a great game as well. But Djokovic may not have won the match, but boy, is he classy in defeat. Everything he said, his body language, coming round the net to congratulate Carlos Alcaraz. I was impressed. Maybe you have a thought. 14 minutes to 6.
EWN Traffic.
Well, we've got more problems in Mayville. Just quickly, by the way, I mentioned that Mayville sounds like a peaceful place from the name, and MB sent me this. I was born in Mayville in Durban. Yes, a beautiful and peaceful place, like the name suggests. As you mentioned, we were forcibly removed from there by the group area's laws of the day. Aish, nostalgia, MB says, overcomes. What's happening in Mayville, Pretoria, Karabo?
Yeah, that's Pretoria North, heading towards, leaving the Pretoria CBD, heading towards Mayville. Expect about a 30-minute delay on Mansfield Road. Between Francina Street and Lavender Kezina, traffic heavily backed up on Steve Biko. Between Ben Swart and the Hoërskool Wonderboom in Mountain View, we still have traffic pressure heading towards Soshanguve on the R80 northbound Mabopani Highway from Eskiam Pahlile to the Hip and Ben. Still in Tshwane mainland, expect about a 20-minute delay. This is traveling towards Centurion N1 southbound between Linwood Road and Rigel Avenue. Bryanston's traffic remains a bit sluggish. N1 south from Rivonia Road to Winnie Mandela Drive in Alexandra, expect more than a 30-minute delay. N3 south from Marlborough Drive to Van Buren, while in Rudaport there's slow-moving traffic. This is on Randfontein Road between Corlett and Adcock. Ekurhuleni, Edenvale, bumper-to-bumper traffic on the R24 westbound This is between Edenvale Road and the Gilulis interchange. And finally, in Klipboki, Boksburg, traffic sluggish on Heidelberg Road approaching North Boundary Road. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive. Well, Sunday night was the night of the stars in the music world, the Grammy Awards, and Tyler shining bright once again with yet another Grammy to her name. I don't know if you remember when we had Voter Kellerman come in with a Grammy, and he brought in to talk about his work, and he brought in one of his Grammys. It really is an impressively heavy and weighty thing. But move that all aside. So musicians were the stars last night, but sometimes musicians sing about other famous people. Either it's in the title or it's in the lyrics. So I wanted to ask you, what's your favorite song that mentions a very, very famous person at some point in the song, as I say, maybe in the chorus, it could be in the title, and we'll play you a little bit later a song where it's just all famous people, but here's a local South African version of just that.
I'm proud to say my side the same, they relate. We do this for the cake. That, you don't away, you don't away, shut, you don't away, you don't away, shut, you don't away, you don't away, you don't away, shut, you don't away, you don't away, you don't away, shut, you don't away, you don't away, shut, you don't away, you don't away, shut, you don't away, you don't away, shut.
Casper Nyovest with Tito Mboweni, a song that people enjoyed and got lots of people talking as well. So maybe you've got one, a favorite song that references a famous person in some way, shape or form. Your suggestions, please, to 072 702 1702 and 011 883 0702. Looking forward to your choice.
The Midday Report.
Weekdays,
12 to 1.
The man accused of shooting Warrick Stock, known as DJ Warris, a 25-year-old Mozambican national. Oren Singh. So this is the second person that's been arrested now, Oren.
Second person, Mandy, and they believe that he is the trigger man. Mandy, I'm going to blow your mind a little bit. According to what we understand, 25,000 Rand was paid for the murder of Warrick Stock.
How cheap is life, eh?
Off that money, the shooter allegedly got 7,000 Rand.
Wow, 7,000 Rand.
The Midday Report.
With Mandy Wiener.
12 to 1 on 702.
702.
With Outsurance, saving on your car insurance is sweeter than heart-shaped chocolates. 30-year-old Deneo saves an unbelievable 1,094 Rand on a 2025 Kia Sonet. Get a quote now, and if Outsurance can't save you money, ask for 500 Rand or 1,500 Rand if you've been claim-free and with the same insurer for 3 years. Why pay more when you could be saving? SMS OUT to 45142. That's OUT to 45142. Outsurance, licensed insurer and FSP. T's, C's and information online.
Running a business can feel like a solo mission. I mean, you've got the hustle. If only your office Wi-Fi was your employee of the month. Turn on your success with Telkom Business, the partner that always shows up. Get a reliable 25 by 25 megabytes per second connection with Stream Connect Fiber for only 489 Rands per month.
This summer, your business deserves the best. Visit telkom.co.za/business for deals that connect your business. T's and C's apply. Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
702 Drive with John Perlman was proudly brought to you by Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
I wanna be a millionaire, so flippin' mad. I wanna sit next to Oprah and the Queen. What's up, Oprah?
Okay. I don't know that song, but I'll Google the lyrics. I see Karabo Charlie is not here to help me out. He just stepped out for a minute. Now, another one is sent by Riri, who says the song that mentions a couple of artists is What If by Younger Chef. But there is, well, let's play this voice note first.
Good afternoon, Dr. John. For me, it's MT Pel 2C, one of my favorites. Thank you, Nelani from Randburg.
I need an older mommy, yeah. I don't need drama. Funu sisi o top, yep. On the steez nyana, opete I zaga, yep. Opili cheese ndwana, oh yeah. Angla langa since I saw you on TV, mama. Pearl tooth, yeah. Pearl tooth, pearl tooth. Yeah, I'm talking about pearl tooth, pearl tooth, yeah. Pearl tooth. Pearl Tusi, yeah, I'm talking about Pearl Tusi. She's the best, yeah, I don't see the rest. Nah, I don't need a best, yeah, with all due respect. She can get it for days, I'd never say it straight to her face. Never. Look how she rocking them jets, she getting money in so many ways. Hey, she's Zulu and yellow, grew up in the ghetto,
Yeah, so some of these songs have the references to famous people stretched out. You've got to kind of pick through the music and find them. This, however, is not a problem at all with this particular song by Billy Joel. I'm sure you know it. Came out in 1989, and it's just one famous person and, in truth, one famous event after another. Fasten your seatbelt. Yeah, it goes on and on. I've heard other versions of it where they bring in other names. Most of those famous people, I think it's fair to say, are American, virtually all of them. Boxers, politicians, Marilyn Monroe would have jumped out for you. Sugar Ray, I don't think that refers to Sugar Ray Leonard, but the great boxer who came before him, whose name has just escaped me for a moment. Maybe you can help me out on 072 702 1702. Keep them coming. Your songs, favorite ones, with famous people in the lyrics. Sugar Ray Robinson, by the way. It's just come back to me.
Good evening, Dade John and your team. I have 3 songs on my mind. The first one is They Don't Really Care About Us by Michael Jackson. In that song, he mentions people like President Roosevelt and Martin Luther King Jr. And another one is by Johnny Clegg, Asimbonanga. In that song, he mentions quite a number of famous struggle or freedom fighters. Yeah, I've forgotten the third one. Mzwandile, the Hill Joe works out.
Hello, good evening, Tata John and the listeners. So one of the songs, it's Vera by Pink Floyd. I think it's off the whole album. Vera, talking about Vera Lynn. I think she passed on in 2020. Thank you. This is Leon.
Does anybody here remember Vera Lynn?
remember how she said that we would meet again some sunny day.
Yeah, Vera Lynn was a famous English singer, very, very popular during the Second World War. She had a song called We'll Meet Again. I think that's a reference in that song, but the song's certainly not just about her. The Commodores Night Shift, says Raymond, and Peter Gabriel Biko. That's very much in the title. And Prince says, hi John, Boom Shaka with Tobela mentions a few South African legends, including Letta Mpulu, towards the end. Let's enjoy it. Playing out with Boom Shaka, we are right here on 702 Drive, bringing to an end our show for this Monday. I hope you've got a good Monday evening planned, whatever it is you're doing. From all of us, thanks for listening and good night.
And now, The Money Show.
With Stephen Grootes, live on 92.7 and 106 FM. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
And DSTV channel 856.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes is brought to you by Absa Corporate and Investment Banking, balancing economic growth with ecosystems. That's how they're invested in your story. Good evening on your Money Show.